everybody. Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Shit.
It's that time again. Oh, my God. It's time for another world-famous podcast award-nominated podcast. It's the Rage Select podcast right here on Rage Selected. I am Jeff, and a first-time, brand-new...
Hello.
A new challenger has entered the ring. It's Bryce Castillo from over at Scam School, Modern Rogue,
That's right.
Night Attack.
All sorts of stuff.
All those good things. Also, as I think that people who only listen to Rage Select probably know you best as the person who has made the Rage casts work.
I've teched a couple of those Rage casts.
Yeah. What people might not know, something I've been actually a little bit cagey about, is that recently I've actually been doing some work with Bryce over on Scam School.
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
Today, we just got done doing some recording, and I was like, we got to do a podcast. Bryce, come over here. Let's do the podcast.
Okay, I'm down for it.
So,
I love being on podcasts.
There you go. All right, well, let's start out with the question that we have every week, and that is, how's it going, Bryce?
It's going good. I'm actually finding time to play games.
What?
I know, right?
Lucky you.
I especially the past couple of months, had a little bit of a tough time just being able to make time for games and find stuff that I liked without having to buy something new every time I wanted to play something and get into it.
Sure.
And so I actually have been kind of happy that I've been able to find time for different games.
What's the hot new thing? What's the thing that you've run into recently that you've just been like, what?
For me, it's been Heat Signature.
Heat Signature is amazing.
It's great.
I was so upset. Mm-hmm. We did 2 Heat Signature videos, and sometimes lower profile games on Rage Select nobody watches. They're just like, everybody watches South Park Fractured But Whole, and nobody watched Heat Signature.
Yeah. But Heat Signature, what is really good about Heat Signature is A, it's not too difficult yet. It's not too difficult yet. And B, it is something you can play in really short bursts.
Yes.
You can load it up and just do a couple of missions for about 20 minutes and move on to something else. And even though it's the kind of game that I would not normally love, where it's got a permadeath element to it, it's like a roguelite sort of thing, the actual mechanics and the playability of doing these different missions is just so tight. It's really spot on. And you can really tell it's from the developer of Gunpoint, because Gunpoint is equally just incredibly tight, except Heat Signature is not super short, where Gunpoint really was.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like somehow it overcame... There was that time like 4 years ago where everything was a roguelike and everything is procedurally generated, and in this one I don't know what it was about the gameplay loop. I don't know if it's just because I read a lot of trashy novels about spaceships shooting each other, and so I was like, yay, now I can do this myself. But getting killed in that game was never a big deal, especially because they have an upper cap on your progression as well. So like when your character gets... Oh, I don't know how long you played it.
Because after a while, it'll say, hey, people know you're great.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be as good when you do something good. And it's crazy that it does that.
Yep. And then you can either retire, or sometimes you can like keep that character for like really difficult later game missions, like taking over bases or things like that.
Have you completed anybody's personal missions yet?
Yes.
How is that? Because that's how I lost my first character, was going to do a personal mission and it just being like super underleveled or just like not even close equipped for it.
It's so the personal missions are generally pretty good. The weird trick that I found was that if the mission is to steal an artifact to get enough money for your family or whatever, those have a huge payout. And so once you do that mission and you get that big payout, you can go to the store and buy the overpriced loot boxes.
Yeah.
And those have a much higher chance, especially if you can buy like 10 or 20 of them in a row, of giving you self-charging whatever.
Okay.
Which then you can take that character and you can either dump that self-charging item back into the pool so that it's randomly found by other players in the game, or you can hold on to that character to do a really difficult mission like a base takeover.
Oh, interesting. Because that's the confusing thing for me. I'm still not too far into Heat Signature yet, but understanding what the loop is supposed to be when you're done with the character. Because I had that character, and I knew going into that personal mission that I would be that I was not ready for it. But I thought I don't know that I can just give someone another character these items or any of my money, so I might as well just go for broke.
Yeah, you can't. But what you can do is there's a little place at the top where you can go into and it retires that character, and then you can pick one thing from that character that then shows up in the world as a named item. So it'll be if your character is like Fancy Magoo, then it's like Fancy Magoo's personal teleporter shows up as random loot in the game, so you actually seed the game with your best. So the second time I went through it,
that's a good loop.
It was never do that unless it's like a self-recharging thing, because then all the random loot you find is better because you are literally seeding the game with your own random loot. So
that's cool.
No, that game is awesome. I was going to come on the podcast this week and talk about Mindhunter because I watched 2 episodes of Mindhunter.
Yeah, Mindhunter's good. I like mine. Oh.
And then I watched the first episode of American Vandal.
Oh, American Vandal's so good.
And then I said, go to hell, David Fincher. The world's a dark and scary place. I want to know who drew the dicks.
How far did you get in American Vandal?
No, I finished it.
It's so good. Did you just see they announced season 2 today?
Really?
They're going to do it. And I don't know how. Here's the thing. Netflix is going to do season 2 of American Vandal. They're going to do another season of that 13 Reasons Why thing. And I kind of...
Oh, yeah.
I hope that it's not just them gilding these lilies, right? Like, 13 Reasons Why is not, like, a big story. Like, it's supposed to... You could see the end of that first season and think, okay, that's done. We've gotten a conclusion. And I don't really know that I want to go back there.
Yeah.
But I felt the same way at the end of Stranger Things, and we'll see tomorrow how that goes.
Yeah. I felt the same way about BoJack Horseman. I like BoJack Horseman. I've watched all the seasons of it, but I thought that the first season really kind of like had a thing to say, said the thing it wanted to say, and left you with a kind of morally ambiguous, and then it was over. Yeah. And I personally really enjoyed that, but I don't know. I actually, I can't believe, just sitting there watching American Vandal, and I'm like, how has nobody done a comedy serial, right? A comedy making a murderer.
And still make it a mystery.
Yeah.
Like, you get halfway into American Vandal, and you're like, oh, god damn, this is a real, actual whodunit.
Yep.
And, oh, it's so good. If you haven't, I would recommend to anybody listening, if you haven't watched American Vandal. It's super short, too, right?
Yeah.
Because it's 8, half hours.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And it's funny because you get to the end and it kind of has a heart and it has something to say as well.
Exactly.
In addition to just being, when it starts out and it's
a big dick joke.
Yes, just a whole season of one dick joke.
My favorite bit from that series, and I don't think this is much of a spoiler, except that I think it's the best bit in the whole show, is when the 2 documentarian kids are doing a segment on each other.
Oh, yeah.
They're also potentially the suspects.
Yeah.
And so the Peter does one on his friend, and it's very serious, and it's like, oh, why? Oh, is it because he likes this girl or whatever? And like, oh, no. Oh, but that's second. And he's like super pisses off his friend. He's like, why would you really do one on me? Because his friend does this bit about like, Peter loves dick.
Yeah.
And it's all these photos of like his eye line with like dots going at people's crotches.
It's so awesome. So awesome. Anyway, I remember when that was coming out, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting, but go watch it. Especially if I can already see where I watched 2 episodes of Mindhunter, and I was like, I could see kind of the tone that's going for here. If you've already watched Mindhunter and you're like, Jesus Lord, I need something else to make me laugh, go watch American Vandal. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into the news. We got a weird, as I always say, every week, I'm just like, hey, we got a weird bunch of news stories this week. Okay. So,
it's been a weird week for gaming.
It has. So, the beginning part of this podcast, I would like to say, is going to be the crapping on EA beginning of the podcast.
It feels like it's been a while since EA's been really shitty.
Oh, no.
I mean... Well, in general, EA is the big Walmart, right? But it feels like it's like, I think
Battlefront 2 loot boxes.
I think up until the past couple of months, it was really Ubisoft, who I think was just shitting the bed constantly, and everyone loved it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad, not glad, but it's interesting to see EA get back in the number 1 slot.
Yeah. Well, so this week, EA. Okay, so Battlefield 2, Battlefield 2042, Battlefield Heroes all ran through different EA proprietary back-end servers to make their multiplayer work. I think one of them was using GameSpy. It's that old.
Still?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what did EA never patch that shit out?
Yeah.
So there's a group called the Revive team that basically was making these tools to let people run their own Battlefield 2, Battlefield 2042, Battlefield Heroes servers. And this week, EA sent out a cease and desist order saying, you're altering our code to make this work. You can't do that. But the thing that I really want to focus on...
That's already bad.
Yeah, like Blizzard did this with like people running old WoW servers. But like I want to read you guys what could be one of the most irritatingly condescending letters from EA that says, "Dear so-and-so, I write on behalf of Electronic Arts Incorporated and its development studio DICE, or in other words, those guys that make Battlefield.
Fuck off.
We've noticed that Revive Network has several projects and websites devoted to being a medic by reviving older Battlefield games, including Battlefield
Christ.
Heroes, Battlefield 2, Battlefield 2042. It's great to see your enthusiasm for these titles. Not to brag, but we too get the nostalgia chills when booting up these classic entries into the Battlefield franchise. We need a favor, though. We must ask that you stop throwing down ammo crates. In other
I hate this.
more legal style terms, please stop distributing copies of our game clients and using our trademarks, logos, and artwork on your sites. Thing is, your websites may easily mislead visitors to believe that you are associated or affiliated with EA, and we're the only ones who get to wear the official EA dog tag. Since you're Battlefield community members, we know that you are smart and helpful and will respect that we must protect our intellectual property rights in the franchise.
God.
Yep. Please drop us a line and let us know that you're on board with this. Should you have any questions, blah, 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 contact us. And I'm just like...
You're already doing something really awful. Just peel off the Band-Aid and stop trying to... You know why they did this? They made it cutesy because they knew this press release would go out publicly.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really awful just in terms of, like, from a games archival standpoint.
Yes.
And... so I think a similar situation is with the Tribes game. Do you remember Tribes? Tribes 2?
Mm-hmm.
My father loves Tribes 2.
Okay.
It is...
I'm old now. That makes me feel very old.
what I'm saying is that's the only... of the video games that I know my father has played, Tribes 2 is maybe the only like definitive one on that list.
Mm-hmm.
And when... I don't even know who it was at the time. Was it Sierra? Whoever was like keeping Tribes 2 up?
I think it was Sierra, yeah.
Yeah, at the time. When at some point they were like, "Hey, we're not keeping these servers online because why would we? This game is super old." And there's a whole big community that has kept those games alive.
Yep.
And as far as I know, and since I've last checked in on it, they are still cool with it. It's still happening because those people just want to play that game. And I think in terms of capturing that experience and enabling people to have those experiences again in the future, shutting off servers is totally the prerogative of the game publishers and developers. But I think something like this that says, hey, you don't do this. Don't let our games continue
Stop
to be played.
dropping ammo crates?
God, right? is really just a bad sign in general. These people should be able to continue playing these games for as long as they want, even if they have to break the fuck out of these games to get them working again. And it's really just not cool, and it could mean that a lot of experiences get lost over time.
I mean, I think that the one thing that kind of sticks out for me, like I understand because I've talked before when Blizzard shut that the old WoW servers down about like there's a precedent that if you don't protect your intellectual property, then your copyright gets degraded. But
when it's not necessarily copyright, it's sometimes more of a trademark and intellectual property thing than copyright. It's kind of it's not all of one, all of another. It's a very mixed bag, and these companies that have millions of dollars on the line are going to do everything they can to make sure that there's no wiggle room for someone to say, no, you don't get to own the word Battlefield anymore.
I just don't think that by letting these people make mod tools that one day that they're going to have to go to court and be like, well, sorry, DICE, you didn't protect it hard enough. You don't get to own Battlefield anymore.
Right. And I think by it's it's the developers or rather, it's usually the publishers kind of having it both ways, right? If you look at a news from a couple months ago where Ubisoft said, "Hey, we're done patching Watch Dogs 2."
Yep.
And at the very last update that they put out, it broke all of these mod tools or all of these different modifications that people made for Watch Dogs 2 to fix major bugs that Ubisoft did not fix in the last patch, and said, "Hey, we're done updating this game. They're not going to get patched." And if you're not going to support those services, it's really important that you let people play these games right.
Yep.
You know why? It is crazy to me that Ubisoft, as a stakeholder, would say it's cool that this game is broken, and that's how we say it's going to be for the rest of time.
It's a very unique situation because nothing else works this way. Like, nobody goes back and changes a movie. Well, I guess George Lucas does, but
directors and the people, auteurs change their movies.
Yeah, but the idea that to me, I think I can understand what they're doing, but I think that the benefits that they're getting are outweighed by, everybody just rolls their eyes and it's just like, well, of course you did this, EA, you bunch of jerks.
And they get away with it because this is going to affect a couple hundred people, maybe a few thousand people.
Yeah. Plus the idea in this statement that they said your websites may easily mislead visitor, and it's like, no. There's nobody's mom is like, oh, I want to play that Battlefield Heroes, and then like, oh, look, it's good that EA has an official website where I can download a new patch.
So I will say this is anecdotal and not indicative of any other story. When Grand Theft Auto Vice City came out to PC, I was super stoked. I had my little HP machine.
Oh God!
And I wanted to play, and specifically, I wanted to play multiplayer. There is what I did not realize at the time, an unofficial patch that had multiplayer Vice City, open world multiplayer, not like the split screen stuff they did in San Andreas.
Okay.
And I went to GameStop to go buy it because, of course, that's where I went. And I was like, "Hey, let me get this game because I want to play the multiplayer. Does the multiplayer is it on there?" And of course, it's not a part of the actual game, but I didn't really know that.
Yeah.
And so I could maybe understand the idea that someone would like something like that, but that's kind of an extraordinary circumstance. Vice City does not have online multiplayer.
Yeah,
these are Battlefield games. That's their bread and butter.
I think that anybody who wants to play Battlefield 2 should be able to.
Yeah.
But then the other thing that I wonder about is just last week there was an announcement that GOG hooked up a new, basically, the original Star Wars Battlefront 2 multiplayer works again because GOG and EA did something to like patch in a new set of servers that you can just basically on Steam or on GOG you can now buy Battlefront 2
and play it online multiplayer. So I also wonder whether this is the beginning of them shutting something down so they can do something like that. That would not be crazy. I think that is good to hear.
Yeah.
The idea that, okay, this is maybe a pulling the Band-Aid off for these games to come back legitimate with a real EA supported patch. But I would love to know, like, hey, give any indication that this is for a good reason,
right,
and not for a bad one.
And please stop. Don't write. This is just...
I hate it. I hate the writing on it. You shouldn't have done that.
Okay, so in further EA is garbage person news. So there was a podcast that came out last week, the Waypoint podcast, which I haven't listened to, but there was a person on there named Manveer here. I'm probably not saying that correctly, who basically said that as of around Mass Effect 3, EA has just decided like single player is for chumps, that like everything that we need to be making needs to have like some kind of online multiplayer component. And this, I guess, kind of hooks into last week's story about Visceral getting shut down,
right? I remember.
And that weird cryptic statement about like how, well, we saw that people aren't really into single player anymore, and
the idea, because that Visceral game has been in development for so long that it could have predated this. It could have been around the time of this supposed mandate.
Yeah. Which again is kind of, I mean, to be honest, I mean, in talking to people who play video games, I feel like this narrative that like, oh well, we can't make our money back with just a single player video game. We need something that has a bunch of, new ways for you to shove money into it and blah 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 blah. It just doesn't work in my mind, because I know plenty of people who like just straight up single player games. I bought Call of Duty for the last 6 years, and I only play about 20 minutes of the multiplayer, but I genuinely like some of the single player Call of Duty stories. The fact that EA of all people is adding a single player campaign into Battlefront 2 after Battlefront 1 got raked over the coals for just being multiplayer only. I don't know. It just seems strange. It seems like a real CEO boardroom out of touch. Like, well, we've got to have a way to get microtransactions in front of people.
Sure. I think on some level, I remember your discussion about it last week.
Yeah.
And part of it is that if you play a single player game, I played GTA. I got GTA 5. I have bought GTA 5 3 different times. I have beaten the story of GTA 5 twice.
Okay.
And that's a good story.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to beat it a third time. I don't need to beat it a third time. And I don't love GTA Online.
Mm-hmm.
But if you love GTA Online, you're going to spend hundreds of hours. You could spend hundreds of hours in that online mode.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's a numbers game. It is a numbers game. But not everyone is going to buy shark cards or whatever the money is. Most people won't.
Yeah.
And it's the idea of like whales in free-to-play games who are going to support the others. But GTA 5, which is like, I want to say certainly the best-selling video game of all time.
I believe so. I think it still is.
One of the highest-grossing pieces of media of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Rockstar came out recently and was like, hey, the reason that we haven't made single player expansion like we said we would is because everyone's playing online.
Yep.
And that's where people have migrated to after they were done with the game. Sorry, we have to go work on Red Dead Redemption now.
Yeah.
And you'll see some more GTA Online, and you're not going to see the single player stuff. In so many words, that's a paraphrase.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even in there, where you have a really great single player, a very bespoke single player campaign, and it's such a huge draw, even then it's the online players who are the active users.
No, yeah, I get that. I think that I mean, I fully understand it from a corporate point of view. I just think that and like I was talking about last week, I firmly place the blame of this on the players of video games for purchasing DLC and for buying more than just a straight up $60 single player game.
I know you are like vehemently anti DLC.
Well, I'm not really. I'm more just that it's expected that every single game that comes out is going to have, like, I'd rather see you sell your game and then be like, you know what, that game sold well, you guys love this game a lot, we had an idea for a DLC and we made it. Not the expectation on day one that built into your first purchase. Like, there was a trailer this week for the Lord of the Rings Shadow of War season pass, and there's the Blade of Galadriel stuff. Like, there's stuff in there that I feel like was designed, and then that part of the storyline in that game felt very rushed, and then like it got clipped off, almost like it was being made for DLC. Yeah. Anyway, off topic.
And there are bad examples of this.
Yeah.
If you look at L.A. Noire, I don't know if you got a chance to spend any time with the L.A. Noire DLC, or even just see the way that is structured into the main campaign.
Yeah.
That is probably the most like explicit form of DLC being content taken out of a main game.
Yeah.
Because when you unlock those chapters, you see the chapters show up in various spots in the storyline.
Oh yeah.
And to the you can tell this is my weird anecdote about LA Noire. In the very first piece of DLC, that's where in a cinematic you actually meet the medical examiner. Mm-hmm. You actually meet him and say, "Hello, I'm the medical examiner."
Right.
And if you're not playing the DLC, he just kind of shows up and is kind of a not invisible secondary character in, a police crime drama, right? The medical examiner. And it just like really very strongly hints that that was just stuff, the least important parts of that game ripped out and put into this basket of DLC. So there are certainly like very explicit and just not good senses of that.
I guess what I'm trying, or what I've come to, is the idea that publishers have figured out that they can get away with charging you $60 for a game and then charging you more after that. And as long as they can do that, as long as they can put a mode into the game and you have whales that will go in and buy, shove large amounts of money in after the $60, then it'll continue. But that's the same argument that I was making last week with DLC, that if everybody's on board with season passes and buying the DLC, then there's no incentive for them to not do it. Whereas, like the day one multiplayer patches that EA used to have in their games, I feel like they got enough backlash on that they finally just decided it wasn't worth it, but that the opposite is true. I don't know. I personally am a huge fan of single-player games, and I feel like I've seen plenty of single-player games that have done just fine this year that don't have any BS in them. You and I have talked about Nier Automata doesn't have any multiplayer.
It doesn't have multiplayer, but it does have a DLC. It does have DLC and a DLC episode.
Yeah. But
that is as far as I can understand, that is a supplemental story of a different character.
Well, I've been going back and playing Resident Evil 7 recently, and I think Resident Evil 7 is a good idea, or is a good example of that was a single player game that I thoroughly enjoyed, and then they had some DLC, and I went and bought it because I thought I really enjoyed this game. I'd like to see those DLCs. And that was fine. I didn't need some kind of like online mercenaries mode for Resident Evil 7 where you can buy tokens to upgrade your gun. But anyway, I'm running a little long here, so I'm going to pick up the pace.
This is my curse. I go on podcasts and I make them go twice as long.
I'll tell you what, this is a 2-hour podcast, so we can't oh, God.
Get ready for it.
It's the biggest one ever. We're going to go ahead and skip. There was a Battlefront 2 single-player trailer, which I think looks like a really good game, and I would be interested in playing it. I just wonder if it's as long as the... wait, I just said Battlefield 1. That was what I meant. The Battlefield 1 single-player campaign was this kind of compacted thing, and I'm hoping, or I'm curious to see if the Battlefront 2 single-player campaign is sweeping and expansive, or just kind of like a 4 or 5 hours and then you're done.
I hope so. That this trailer was very cinematic, but I am not a big shooter gamer and really not into the multiplayer stuff very much. So this is not necessarily for me, but it's a nice trailer, and the graphics on it, I'm actually. It's like when the first Battlefront was shown off a couple years ago. It's gorgeous.
Frostbite looks great. I feel like they took a few years for EA to really get Frostbite off the ground, but now that they have, like, all the people look great, and then Battlefront has always looked really, like the first Battlefront looked really good because they literally allowed them to go to the Lucas stuff and take like pictures of the props and then map it and stuff. So. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you who doesn't need multiplayer in their video games, and that's Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus.
Hey,
basically, this is just me saying yeah. Because there was a recent interview with GameIndustry.biz where Machine Games narrative designer Tommy Tordson Bjork, that's a handle if I've ever heard one, said, well, no, we didn't have multiplayer because the only way to make a good single-player campaign is to concentrate on the thing that you're doing, and we couldn't do that if we put multiplayer in.
Okay, hold on. Now, hold on, because if I remember, one of the best games of last year, Doom, had multiplayer.
Yes.
And my understanding was that it was maybe not great.
Is that last year or the year before?
Was it? I thought it was last year.
I can't remember.
But between the Doom multiplayer maybe not being great, and the upcoming Quake game, Quake Champions,
yes,
like I could understand why they would make a single player game like this when they know that they've got something that is multiplayer focused in the pipe.
Sure. I don't know. I think that Wolfenstein is a really good example because you had Wolfenstein and then the Old Blood, and now you have Wolfenstein 2, and that all of those are just a straight-up single-player narrative campaign. The first one kind of came out of nowhere and really surprised me. Can't wait for the second one. It'll be out by the time this podcast goes up, but I don't know. This is just for me Like, yeah, see, single player games, woo! And for the record, the Doom multiplayer was actually pretty fun.
Was it? Okay.
You just have to get into it. It's very old school, fast, jumping around, rocket, shoot people in the face. Anyway, so to continue the whole saga of what everybody's talking about right now, there was a petition last week that went to the UK government to basically ask them to re-examine the idea of loot boxes as gambling in video games. So I feel like last week it was last week or the week before, where the ESRB came out and basically said that since you always get something out of a loot box, there's no way to fail.
There's not a lose condition.
Right, yeah. That they don't count that technically as gambling.
Okay.
The UK Gambling Commission had a different idea, to paraphrase this 16 paragraphs they have here.
Sure.
They say that they don't consider these to be gambling because you can't cash them back out for anything. That you don't get, like, you can't win money and then get it back out of it. Which is they also say they're going to keep an eye on it, and it's a fine line, et cetera, et cetera.
Both of these fronts are, I think the word gambling isn't appropriate. I think both of these reasons that it's not gambling are real, but I do think that that something's got to be done for this to be on the up and up.
Yeah.
The idea of, like, okay, all of your loot boxes have to have percentages. You got to know, you've got to show what the percentage of each of these things are. Just, I think flat out, that seems like an easy slam dunk.
Yeah.
And in terms of, like, even little shit is getting loot boxes. So, like, Twitch for Halloween is doing these emote lucky boxes or loot boxes, and theirs is even a weird thing, because you get one of these boxes when you cheers someone a certain amount of bits. And when you do that, then you get like a temporary emote until the end of the year.
Okay.
And if you get all of the temporary emotes, then you unlock a permanent, like, zombie Kappa emote. And it's like, it's not, and granted, it's not people straight out buying loot boxes. It's if you are donating money to a streamer and you do it in this specific way, you can get this thing on top of it, which is a good enough reason to not call it gambling. But that's some fucking weird shit for Twitch, for Twitch chat emotes.
Well, it sounds like, to me, when you were describing it, the first thing, after my eyes got done glazing over, was that it sounded an awful lot like the Steam card system, where it's just this thing that you're like,
why do I have all these cards?
What the fuck
what am I supposed to do with
What do I have an inventory on my game buying client, Steam?
Or badges. Like, what the fuck are Steam badges?
Yeah,
that's a different.
But I don't know. I'm thinking that 2018 is going to be an interesting year to see how many AAA games. Going back to the EA single player games thing, like, one of the things that got brought up was that, we're putting like hundreds of millions of dollars into these games and we have to be able to recoup our costs.
Don't spend so much fucking money on it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is either one, stop spending hundreds of millions of dollars on your game, because...
Well, and a lot of it, I am sure that a lot of it is because they are employing a lot of people to make these games come out very fast, right? We were talking about GTA 5 the other day, or earlier.
Yeah.
The credits are 20 minutes long. You could watch an episode of Seinfeld while those credits play. And
there's a few Assassin's Creed games that go on for like an hour.
Right. And like that's a function of like people wanting these games so fast.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed games every year. Call of Duty games every year.
Yeah.
And that's what's ringing it up, is like having so many people working on these games every year. And they can't be as they can't be as incremental as sports games.
Yeah.
Because sports games do come out every year. And I would say that those are usually the same developers, but because those games are being incrementally worked on, that the delta between products is not as wide as it is on an Assassin's Creed game, where the world could be different.
Yeah.
Every game.
Yeah, no, I agree, but for me personally, I'm like, raise the price of your game to $80, or spend less on your game and put one out every 2 years for $60. Like, I guess the thing that rankles me about the loot box stuff as it's crept in is that one of the justifications for it is like, well, these poor developers, they need money. And it's like, well, but I didn't ask you to make your game 65 hours long with photorealistic quality and for it to have a 9-month development time. Like, a lot of these decisions have been made. I don't know. I just wish that instead of trying to augment the price of games with a bunch of other bullshit to buy, that it would be just like either take the time that you need, cut down the amount of that you're spending, or just tell me what you actually want up front. Just make it so that the game costs $80 and be up front with me instead of saying $60 plus DLC.
Yeah. I'm playing the new Animal Crossing game that soft launched the other day, Pocket Camp, and I'm feeling very similar to that in that it's a free to play game, and I don't. It's a fundamentally different game than an Animal Crossing game, and it's really well made, and it has the Animal Crossing character in it, but I would have paid $30 for a traditional Animal Crossing game on mobile. I would pay $30 American dollars on my phone for a phone game if that game was a regular ass Animal Crossing game. And now it's this weird thing. It's a weird different thing, and I'm still.
Is it time limited where they lock you out of doing stuff for a certain amount of time, or
it has certain types of timers, right? So like instead of going and just there being a new inventory of stuff to buy every day, you kind of craft stuff, and the way you craft stuff is by getting things like fruit and bugs and fish and trading them to people for crafting materials.
Okay.
Which is some real like SimCity build it shit.
Yep.
And that whole thing is alien. That is not how Animal Crossing would be, right? And I don't. It's on rails in a way that an Animal Crossing game isn't, and I think that is just one of many games lately that has changed something fundamental to be specifically a mobile thing, right?
Yeah.
This is Nintendo wanting to be big on mobile and trying something new and trying Animal Crossing as a service.
Yep.
And I'm just
not feeling it.
I've only had it for 12 hours.
Sure.
Or 16 hours or something like that.
But see, but I can attest that you're not playing it right now. Like, you're not playing it right this second.
Sure.
That means it's a bad game. No.
It's different. And I need more time to say if it's good or bad. But I don't know where I'm going to land on it.
See, I've just gotten to the point with phone games where I tried one, and I tried this one, and I tried that one, and I tried a different one.
Like free-to-play games, or...
Oh, the lot of it. I bought a few games. I had a few free-to-play games. There was a few things that I was interested in. And I finally got to the point where I was just like, you know what? I'm going to read books on the Kindle app because I know how much they cost, and they're entertaining, and then I could just read them and put them down instead of having my phone be like, oh, hey, new things are available. Come tap on this thing again. And like,
I'll tell you what, though. If you find a free-to-play game that you like, and if it is really good, spending money on it can actually make a good experience show up.
Yeah.
A long time ago, there was a golf game. Oh, I wish I remember what it was called now. I think it was like Golf Stars or something. It was from Come To Us, which made some home run derby game, and I believe this game is still up, and I really dig it. I have a soft spot for video game golf video games.
Okay,
and I really liked it, and it worked on a timer system, so you could only play so much. I think it's Golf Star, right?
Golf Star?
I think so.
Okay,
and I thought, okay, well, I really like this. I like the system. I think the engine actually works. Yeah, that is it, Golf Star.
Okay.
And so what I'm going to do is there's a package here. I'm going to spend $20 on this game and get essentially unlimited, like thousands of gameplay tickets. So I would not have to worry about timers. I got some nice-ass golf clubs, and I enjoyed that game. And I could continue to enjoy that game because it was built on a good game.
Yeah.
and I was not getting filled with the timer system. But equally, I didn't even use up all those tickets. I think I could still download it and still have 1 million tickets on there. But it has to be built on top of a good game. I play a lot of shitty free-to-play games and a lot of clicker games and city builder games, and they're all bad.
Yeah.
They're just bad games.
Yeah.
And people can like these games. You're allowed to like City Island Builder 5. Please enjoy it. But they're just not great games. And it's a lot of these experiences that putting money in, what you get back doesn't even give you a better game.
Yeah. Well, and then I have a problem in my deep machine parts where the humans have a heart, where I don't like the idea of buying something finite, something that goes
Usable,
away. Yeah.
Consumable, sure.
Like not for, I mean, like, I buy food and shit, right? Like buy coffee and then drink it and stuff. Just like, well, this coffee's just gonna go away. But
you just buy like salt licks instead.
Yeah.
This lasts so long.
Yeah. But the idea of buying even a DLC is another chunk of gameplay that is there, and I can play it as many times as I want to. But the idea of like I'm buying the ability to keep playing a game that I want to play. That just fundamentally rubs me the wrong way, especially because it could, like, Knights of Pen and Paper, when it came out on Steam, was essentially the phone version of Knights of Pen and Paper, except it costs like $10, and then they gave you $10 worth of their in-game currency, but they
how that was set up?
Still had the hooks in there. Yeah.
Oh shit.
And I started playing it, and I was just like, oh, go fuck yourself, because I'm gonna go through these $10 worth of things, and then you're going to be asking me, you're going to say, well, you can't play the game that you bought.
That's really unfortunate.
It's like, no.
Because especially now, Steam is becoming home to many mobile ports.
Yep.
And some good, like A Lost Phone or Reigns or something, and many like that, where the hooks are still there, but now you're paying for the privilege for it to be on your computer.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's keep rolling on here. I was so glad when we watched this trailer that you were as excited as I am, because on November 7th there is the Hitman official Game of the Year edition.
Yes.
And
yes,
if y'all haven't heard me, I have not gone on this podcast and talked about how much I love Hitman in like 6 months. So
well, and it's like it's short of IO announcing season 2.
Yeah.
This is a good thing for IO to announce.
Yes.
They got Hitman back. They're going to update it. They're going to make a bunch of new shit. They got a new SKU for us, and I'm so stoked for it.
Yep.
The little things that they did with already the remixes on these places that they've done, like the Sapienza movie set, totally changes that entire map.
Oh, and then the politician one as well.
Yeah.
That map has been remixed twice, and then you have which is the Marrakesh at night for that mission. Yeah,
it's the economy that they are getting out of these huge maps is something that I would love to see other developers aim for.
Yep.
Of making huge playgrounds that are larger than you need to, that are larger than their critical path.
Yeah, I bought Hitman on the PC, and then it turned out to be one of those games that is like a 35 gig installation, and I was just like, I don't have time for that. But I don't regret it. I didn't refund it on Steam because I was like, I want y'all to have my money. Like when you talk about. Wait,
so you ended up buying it on the PlayStation?
Oh no, I owned it on the. I got it on the PlayStation as it came out. But Hitman is, I mean, just pound for pound, one of the best values out there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, for $60, the only drawback is the fact that it seems like they at the last minute tweaked that last mission to have a season, or the last couple missions to lead into a season 2 instead of just finishing their story that they were building up to.
Yeah.
Because that last mission, your target is kind of like, oh, that guy? Okay, all right, that's all right. But
I think when they announced Hitman, their whole idea was like, Hitman's going to be a service.
Yeah.
Like the way that they've handled elusive contracts, right? Like it's going to be time sensitive. You're going to need like, it's actually kind of crazy how they went from announcing Hitman and explaining none of it to launching Hitman and it being an unmitigated, like, loved thing off the bat.
Well, I remember, I mean, when they were announcing it, it was like what they first announced, like, well, you're going to buy the first 3 chapters, and then we're going to put the rest out as DLC, and then it was like...
It was a real unsure thing.
Oh, no, you're going to pay for half of one
and it ended up being you could buy the first chapter and then upgrade to the rest.
Yeah.
Or you could just get the whole thing.
Yeah. But... So the way this is going to work, okay, let's list down the things. New outfits and weapons. There's a clown outfit, and I have to say that I love how front and center this clown outfit is in this very serious trailer for Hitman that they got.
It's in a lot of this trailer, and it's very good.
Cowboy outfit because sure,
yeah,
and like leather jacket outfit. 3 new weapons, new lighting engine apparently. They're updating the graphics. There's a 4-mission Patient Zero bonus campaign, which from the description sounds like it's going to go through remix areas in the game.
The existing maps.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they took the time to remix the other maps that didn't get remixed, like Marrakesh and the Tokyo Surgery Center would make Hokkaido. Yeah. Because they already did the work on Paris and it would kind of be weird if we were in Sapienza with like yet a 3rd or 4th version of that, even though it's a great map.
Yeah.
But there's going to be that, and then there's going to be I've got the list right here. There's going to be a bunch of new stuff.
There's like they're updating like the skyboxes. There's some eye tracking software integration.
Oh yeah, that was weird. I don't even know what that is.
It's like some lock on and camera controlling stuff, but it's this one. What is that? Tobii Eye,
yeah.
You know, it's I don't know. I've never heard of that. I might look into it, but I don't know how expensive that is going to be.
Xbox One X enhancements.
Okay, that's great.
Commemorative elusive target unlock, lighting and improvement, new contract mode features.
And the elusive targets, what they're doing with those are great, because it was that as the game was out, if you missed an elusive target, it never came back.
Yeah.
If you attempted a elusive target, you lose it. You fail it, and it doesn't come back. For this second round, they're redoing all the elusive targets, and if you failed, you still don't get to do it. It's only if you never got to attempt it.
Ooh, because I never got to try to kill Gary Busey. I missed that. I really want to go back and try to kill Gary Busey.
But I love that they're still sticking with this idea of like, you failed getting this guy.
Yep.
Tough titties.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it. I'm really ready.
Yep, and if you own it, it's $20 to upgrade it, or you can buy it for $60. And let me say, just as I don't like to shill, but I love this. And now, like, IO owns Hitman, so if you go out and buy this version, they're probably going to be getting a fair chunk of that money as opposed to splitting it with
Square
Enix. Yeah.
Man, don't get me started on the whole Square Enix part of the story.
Square Enix is just a bunch of fucking bozos. Anyway, yeah, if you haven't played Hitman, goddamn, go play Hitman. Of course, I also feel bad about telling anybody to play anything because the rest of this year is just to the gills, and then
the rest of this week, my dude. Oh boy.
And then like after there's stuff into December. I forgot that in November Doom VFR and Skyrim VR are coming out, and I can't. That's like the end of my life. I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks, and then I'm just going to be like this 300-pound hulking maniac because I've been swinging a virtual Skyrim sword. Anyway, so we got a few more trailers here. This is a real esoteric set of trailers. There's an official Halloween Hello Neighbor trailer. If y'all have forgotten what that is, that's the tiny build game where your next door neighbor has somebody...
It's a weird house, and you're trying to break into it.
Yeah, for some reason, and he's chasing you around. Tiny Build gave me like a preview build of this, and they keep sending me updates about like, oh, beta 6 where you've got this thing in there. And I haven't played it since just the very early alpha. There's some supernatural weirdness in this trailer. Like
a lot of the stuff that I remember seeing was like initial video from what I assume is some of those early betas.
Yeah.
But watching this trailer, it really makes it seem like there is almost a narrative or some sort of progression in this game beyond just like getting into the basement.
Yeah.
It really gives the impression that this game has legs and more going on inside of it than just one weird little concept.
Well, the thing that I hope is that with this they tutorialize it a little bit better, because in those early alphas and betas, it was just kind of like doop-a-doo, do whatever.
And that's any early access game.
Yeah.
Or even just beta.
But we'll find out December 8th.
December, wow.
Yep. Next up, there is a brief. I don't expect anybody but me to be excited about this, but I Expect You to Die, which, if you haven't seen it, we played for PSVR when John first got his, is getting an update where you're on vacation on a train and some tank pulls up. For anybody who'd never watched it, this is basically like
it's like an adventure game.
It's like an escape room
adventure thing.
Yeah, but it's like a 70s super spy escape room. I really enjoyed it. I never actually went back and played through the whole thing, but I'm a real sucker for 60s, 70s super spy aesthetic, which is, I think, why I like jazz punk so much.
Oh, sure. For sure. Yeah, I Expect You to Die looks really great, just in terms of like its puzzle solving, and on top of its motif. Like, I'm stoked. It's one of the games that I would really like to play. But is it only on PlayStation VR?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, it's also on. I think it's PC Vive and such as well.
Okay.
But yeah, it is only a VR game. Oh, I know what it is. Any excuse to just put the vibe into the ether. Can we please get a new No One Lives Forever game? I would settle for a remaster of the first one. I would totally spend $60 on a remaster for the first one. Put loot boxes in. I'll still buy it.
See, no, just a little bit. They give you ask for a little, and you'll take a lot.
Yep. Bring back Kate Archer. That's all I ask for. All right, so the next we've got a couple more trailers here, but I got one trailer that I'd like to just say. Ball sack to you, Bubsy, you stupid piece of garbage. I don't know. This is a really weird thing.
This is on top of not being a good look at this game. This is also not a good trailer.
Yeah.
This is one joke.
Yep.
Of it's Halloween and the kid is wearing a Sonic costume and he knocks on the door and it's Bubsy's house and Bubsy shows up. And it's like awkward silence for like 20 seconds. And then Bubsy slams the door in his face. And that's the joke. That's the first half of this launch trailer.
This
it's so bad.
This first part offends me on a very much on an animation level, because the animation is just like some
simple
Flash puppet animation garbage. And
I thought it looked like an old ass Flash cartoon.
Yeah, and they don't even go to any lengths to hide it. Like, I worked for Spill, and I know there's ways you could hide it so it doesn't just look like a bunch of garbage, like a bunch of just bending stuff around and manipulating stuff. Also, it's a bad joke because Bubsy opens the door, like,
he looks at the kid. The kid like. He's smiling the whole time too. Bubsy is.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So the kid knocks on the door opens, and you see a kid in a Sonic costume, and they show Bubsy from behind. They ruined the joke to begin with. They could have done this in a bunch of different ways. They could have started by showing Bubsy open the door and then flash to the kid as Sonic.
It's a kid. Oh, but it's both of them at the same time.
But it's both of them at the same time, and then he's smiling. He looks stoned as fuck. I don't know what.
Bubsy is fucking blazed. No, you're right.
And then he doesn't even have a reaction. He like looks at the camera and
this Joker
slightly frowns. Slightly.
That's still smiling. The end point is still a smile.
Yeah, you couldn't have made one other head that was a frown or like a grr or like just copy Bugs Bunny's face when he looks at the camera.
This is maybe the worst year to make this joke.
Yeah,
Sonic is good right now.
Yes.
How are you going to act like you're better? Because the second half of this trailer looks fucking awful.
Yep,
it looks like the Mighty Number 9 engine for a Bubsy game.
It looks like a. I mean, like people like to say, "Oh, this looks like a PlayStation 2 game." This looks like a PlayStation 2 game with a slightly better lighting engine. Like,
it's just not promising. The idea of this.
I mean, in a year where you've got things like Cuphead and a new Sonic game, and if you're in the mood for nostalgic platforming, there's the Crash Bandicoot that everybody loves. Like, this just looks like it's such a cynical cash grab, and then it doesn't look any good to boot. Like, I'd rather go back and play Rayman Legends, which came out 4 years ago and looks like a million times better than this.
And, like, I don't have any nostalgia for Bubsy.
Oh, I hate Bubsy.
and I don't know who does. And I don't know if it's a function of like, well, Sonic Mania did so good in a nostalgic way, but this doesn't even. I don't know shit about Bubsy to know if this is supposed to be authentic or a reimagining or what.
Well, see, I think that the problem here is that Bubsy wasn't very good in the first place. Bubsy was out there. I mean, like, if you wanted to make, I've already said this piece, but I'll say it again. If you wanted to make a new Rocket Knight, that's an interesting character. If you wanted to make a new James Pond game, that would be interesting. If you wanted to bring back Gex the Gecko, if you wanted to do a mascot game, I feel like Bubsy is the bottom of
with Bubsy, yeah.
of the mascot barrel. And I didn't even know. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that Accolade kind of got back together to put this out or something, and I'm just like, why? The voice acting is terrible. I mean, it's just bad. It's garbage, and I hate it. And we're gonna play it, and I'm gonna make fun of it the whole goddamn time. I'm gonna give them $20 or however much they want for
this week too.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah. No, they're also putting it out against a new Mario game, a new Assassin's Creed game, and a new Wolfenstein.
Yes.
Oh
boy.
You suckers. There isn't a whole lot to say about this one, but last on the trailer front, there was a trailer for Shin Megami Tensei 5. You seem to. Do you actually play these? Have you played any of these?
I've played more of the Persona games. I played a little bit of SMT, but it's not necessarily my wheelhouse. I think part of it is that because Persona got so popular and is a little more friendlier, just on the outset, where Shin Megami Tensei is a little more like futuristic and demon
post-apocalyptic, as I understand it.
Yeah, this looks good.
Yeah,
but also, okay, Jeff, you played Persona 5?
I didn't finish it, but I did play it. Yeah,
I don't think I like Persona 5 very much.
When it came out, I remember you and I were talking about it. Somebody was like, "Hey guys, what do you think about Persona 5?"
Oh, right.
And Bryce was like, "It's garbage," and I was like, "I love it."
So I like Persona 5 is the best playing Persona game.
Okay, yeah,
it's
sure.
Like, it is incredibly traditional.
Yeah,
but it has a lot of work and design work into it. But I think that the things that make Persona special are overdone in Persona 5. And I think that's on top of like not a good localization.
Okay.
And so that's maybe Shin Megami Tensei 5 will have a better translation, but I'm not an SMT diehard, and I don't have a Switch yet.
Yeah. I think it looks good, and I think that mostly one of the reasons that I wanted to bring this up is because I spend a lot of time on this podcast talking shit about Nintendo, but I have to say that at least that I have had a reason to plug my Switch in more times in this year than I had, I think, over the entire lifetime of the Wii U, and I just got my Switch this year. So there are games coming out for this console to play on it, which is more than I could say about the Wii U. And even if you go back to the Wii, there weren't very many games that I was interested in playing on the Wii. So
I still have a Wii U, and I feel definitely burnt because I wasn't super hot on the Wii.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, well, this is going to be the thing. It's going to have Smash, and it's going to have it'll have a new Zelda at some point. Mm-hmm. Whatever. I'm not even a big Zelda fan, and it's been that is a once bitten, twice shy thing with the Wii U.
Yep.
That is keeping me back from the Switch because it looks cool, and I really want to play Super Mario Odyssey, but I don't know that I want to buy a new Nintendo console just yet.
Yeah, I think I always used to say that like when they announced that there were not going to be any more Wii U's, that like if you could find one on sale, that at the end of its lifetime there were
games on it.
Enough games built up to be able to have a decent library. But
Super Mario 3D World, Splatoon 1, if those servers are still up. They're not doing Splatfest anymore, but that's still a fantastic shooter. Super Mario Maker is incredible.
Bayonetta 2,
which includes the first game.
Yep, and the Fatal Frame Maiden of the Black Water, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, until Zombie U got ported, Zombie U, but yeah, I don't know. At least they're putting stuff out.
They're starting strong at the expense of me last year.
Yeah, and then one more story about Nintendo that is very odd is that recently in the latest update, people found out that you can plug the USB adapter from the Wii U for Smash Brothers to use a GameCube controller into the Switch, and it works. So you can use a GameCube controller on the Switch, but why?
So I guess my question is, does the Switch read that as like one of the Pro controllers? And I can't. My guess would be no, because the Pro controller has a sensor in it, has a accelerometer in it.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't actually know, because it was interesting that this article was talking about how like it doesn't even really work because it doesn't have the same number of buttons that the Switch controller has. So you don't have a ZR button, and you don't have the plus and minus buttons, or one of them. You just have the one in the middle. So it's even missing like control inputs, and the only reason I know that people use those are for Smash Brothers. Yeah. So
I mean, I'm looking at the headline right now.
Yep.
Your game controllers work on Switch, and no one is sure why.
Yeah,
everyone is absolutely sure why. They're doing the work to have that ready for Smash.
Oh, for the Wii U Smash Brothers on the Switch. Okay,
or just a Switch Smash.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it would be. I mean, considering that they put out Mario Kart 8 and it was
Splatoon DX, which is an upmake.
Wait, what?
Because it's not like Splatoon 2, right? Isn't it called Splatoon DX? Or am I thinking of something else?
I think you're thinking of something else, because I think what came out was straight up Splatoon 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But in any case, like that game is not markedly different than Splatoon 1.
Yeah. It's got a few different things,
but it's still the same sort of game. And then Mario Kart is an upmake of the Wii U game.
So
they're gonna make Smash on the Switch, guys. Come on, this is not hard.
Well, but this is Nintendo. You never know. They could make. I think this is a port of the Wii U Smash Brothers. Makes more sense because Nintendo, unless it's like Pikmin, they're crapping out a Pikmin game every 2 weeks. I hate Pikmin so much. But I feel like with the success of Mario Kart 8 that they're probably just porting that over to be like, because you can see the commercial now where it's like two people fighting with the individual Joy-Cons. I'm just like,
and then they've got the Wi-Fi LAN battle thing with another Switch.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap this up with a bunch of kind of rando announcements. If you want to, you can play the first hour of South Park: The Fractured But Whole.
I meant to get this demo, or I downloaded the demo. I meant to play it. I am really not sure if I'm going to like The Fractured But Whole, because I really did like The Stick of Truth.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, on both the writing and the gameplay elements.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've seen that the gameplay is expanded into being a tactics light type of game.
Yes.
But I don't know, some of the joke story stuff that's come out is not the funniest stuff that I've seen. So
sure.
I'm going to try this trial, and it's an hour-long, no restrictions trial. So it'll be a really good test to see if I like it. And it's interesting that this is news, because we've known for a long time that publishers don't like putting out demos because they lead to lower sales.
Yep. So, yeah.
You got Fractured But Whole, right?
Yes. I actually beat it. We're going to talk about, I'm going to do a little mini review of it in the second part. Oh, yeah, I forgot. The first part of this is basically a good news, bad news segment.
Oh, no.
So that's the good news. The bad news is that after 2 years, LEGO Dimensions is coming to an end, which I don't know if anybody outside of John and Amanda were super big on LEGO Dimensions. I remember liking it and liking the fact that they had so many interesting franchises as opposed to, there's the Disney Infinity and Skylanders and stuff. Yeah. But was there even a Skylanders game last year?
I don't believe so. No, because I think last year they ended Skylanders.
Okay.
So if there was a game last year, that was the last one.
So yeah, I would say that if you're interested in this game, it actually was a pretty good game. So if you find like a closeout sale or something, and you can buy these. The main problem that I had with the LEGO Dimensions was that the individual pack sets were pricey. They were
really?
$20 or $30 for like 2 characters in the Mystery Machine or something like.
Okay.
But
are they still gonna? But this is separate from the actual just LEGO series games that they make, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah. This was in fact, I feel like when I look at this, the reason this is happening is because they're putting all their eggs into LEGO Worlds now instead of Dimensions.
Okay.
But So yeah, if you find these things at like a toy store and they're marked down, you should buy them because I don't know, probably worth something. Good news, the first batch of OG Xbox games backwards compatible in the Xbox One are out.
Awesome.
So if you felt the need to go back and play Crimson Skies or Fusion Frenzy or what's this one, Grabbed by Ghoulies, which is the one that I've never heard of before.
They've got Psychonauts on that list.
Yep.
I think one of the Red Faction games is on that list.
Yep. Prince of Persia, Red Faction 2, Dead to Rights 2, Fusion Frenzy. Is that a Dead or Alive? I can't tell. Ninja Gaiden, KOTOR. I mean, the only problem that I have with this is that like half of these are available on Steam, and they're.
But if you've got the disc, and you've got an Xbox One,
yeah,
go for it.
I really I want them to put out.
No one lives forever. No, not as that.
No, what's it called? Jesus, there's a guy on the website who keeps wanting me. So from Otogi, Otogi 1 and 2, which were From Software crazy games before Dark Souls that I really like to play that were Xbox exclusives. So, and they're those games that I'm not going to go out and spend like $80 on. So, bad news, or maybe bad news. This is where we get into like
medium news.
So we already had a story that if you bought an Xbox One X, Microsoft was literally going to charge you like $30 for the adapter to plug your Kinect in if you wanted to plug your Kinect into the Xbox One X. But why would you? Because after, what has it been, a decade of trying to push this thing, Microsoft has stopped manufacturing the Kinect. So
look. The ideas of the Kinect are good.
Yes.
Right? Having a microphone.
Sure.
Having a webcam.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to have good reasons to use it.
Yep.
And when you could do a lot of the convenient stuff by putting a microphone in the controller, or letting people just plug in a USB webcam or something, like it just isn't there. And I don't know whether it was just they couldn't get developers interested in using it or what, but I
think that's what it was. Is it's the VR problem. Is you need enough of an install base to coax a developer into spending resources on making that feature, as opposed to putting those resources just straight up into their game, because it's not worth it otherwise.
But you know what? I will say I did have a good experience with, and this might have been for the 360, but with Dance Master, not Dance Central, but the Konami dance game.
Oh, okay.
Konami did a dance game which was like loosely tied into the Bimani rhythm games.
Oh, wow.
With,
okay.
DDR. And so the head producer for DDR went and produced this game. And so it's got a ton of his like older music, which I love already. But it was like these really like difficult dance moves.
Yeah.
And there's just something about like that style of gameplay versus like a Just Dance, where it's just like it's just gonna follow your hand, and you just got to do the one hand, and you got to do the this, and then you do that. Like I don't know. I loved the weird challenge of it, and I don't necessarily know that Kinect made a lot of experiences like that.
I think that the best dancing thing that I ever saw was Dance Central.
Okay.
That was the harmonics one, where it would literally like light up which arm was not doing the right thing on your avatar on screen. But I will say that no matter how much shit I give the Kinect, every year we play Just Dance, and every year y'all get to watch those replays that would not be possible if there wasn't a camera watching us dance around my living room like a bunch of idiots. So,
but even then, you don't need a Kinect for that.
Yeah.
They got it on the PlayStation. They got it on the Wii. Like, you don't need a huge camera for it. You just need, it's just following the hand.
Right.
So like, I think you can do it with the phone.
No, you can do it. You can do it with the phone. What I'm saying is that when you have the camera, it records you,
sure.
and then it makes a dumb replay loop where everybody gets to laugh at you and go, ah, ha, ha,
okay.
ha.
Yeah, you know what? I stand corrected. Dance Masters would do that too. It would save your ghost replay, and when you played it again, you would be in the background doing the dance with the dancers.
That sounds horrifying.
That's great.
I just imagine I'm trying to get this one track down until there's an army of Jeffs badly dancing in the background.
Well, and it's like they actually tried to like separate out, like they kind of tried to key you out of it, so you were also like this ghosty, poorly keyed thing. Oh,
boy.
I love how bad and janky that game is.
Okay, no, that's the next one. Insomniac tweeted that if they can just find a publisher they want to make Sunset Overdrive 2, I think that's great.
I've been thinking that I need to just borrow somebody's Xbox to play Sunset Overdrive.
It was very fun.
I wonder if there's like some sort of deal with Microsoft where Insomniac can't just go to Sony and be like, hey, we have a relationship, like, let's do Sunset Overdrive 2.
Yeah.
There's got to be some sort of reason that hasn't happened.
I'm pretty sure they hold the rights to it. They just have to get somebody to sign on for it.
Yeah.
Injustice 2 coming to PC.
Okay.
So good news for everybody who wanted to play Injustice 2.
I didn't realize it wasn't. Yeah, at this point, I feel like every game is coming to PC.
Yeah.
This is news in that I didn't think that it wasn't.
Well, but if you remember Mortal Kombat X, there was a delay between when it was on the consoles and when it was on the PC.
Okay.
It's kind of like the old Assassin's Creed, how Assassin's Creed would come out on the 360 and PS3 and then like 2 months later on the PC.
Right.
But if you want to play Night in the Woods, it's coming to your phones. So
that's good. Hey, you know what? That's a good move for Night in the Woods. I really dig. I dig a lot of Night in the Woods. Not none of the bits that are supposed to be gameplay in Night in the Woods. I think, but as a tone piece and an atmospheric piece, I think Night in the Woods is very cool. Is there a pricing yet on the mobile platforms yet? Because I think it would be a cool like $5 game.
Let's see. Nope. On their Twitter account.
Yeah, it may not say if it's not out.
I don't think so.
But it's a weird game, and it really it waits until the very end to sort of like ramp up. But I think it's a neat idea, and it's very meme worthy. Just like Greg doing the arm wiggles and cups on ears.
Yeah,
Sharkle.
It was fun. It was real fun. I thought it was. I watched my girlfriend play it all the way to the end, and then I got to the end. I was just like, "What the fuck is going on in this game?"
It's kind of left field.
It gets real weird.
It's also a sort of game where if you keep to the critical path, you will miss a lot of stuff, and you have no sense that you can get off the critical path or just like go and do stuff for other people, which is a weird design choice.
Yeah. And something that absolutely nobody was asking, but now we know, Metal Gear Survive is going to be out February 20th, and it's got a pre-order.
Oh God!
Kabuki face paint, survival scarves, happy and thumbs up gestures, gold-plated weapons, Boxman accessory, and mother base nameplate.
That's
okay.
Oh,
I actually, it's funny because there have been a couple of outlets that actually got to play this. I think it was like at TGS, and they were like, I don't know, it's pretty good, but it's just so goddamn cynical. It's so like Konami ousting Kojima and then
just pushing forward another game. I don't know. Like Metal Gear, you played 5.
Yeah.
And that is an incredible controlling game.
Mm-hmm.
It is the best controlling Metal Gear game out of all of them. And it is also like the weirdest fucking storytelling decision ever. Splitting it into literal episodes with credit rolls and everything.
Yep.
The weird split. It's
too big. It's way too big.
It doesn't need the online stuff.
I mean, I don't want to ride a horse to the next checkpoint that's on the other side of the map, and
but equally, it would take you as long to get to a helicopter zone to get to another place.
To do loading screens, and then I went back and tried to play it. Also, that game, every time I try to go back and play that game, I remember that it's like, oh right. As much as I love Hideo Kojima, it's like, oh right. There's like 40 minutes at the beginning of this game watching you be horrible and bedridden and weak and shit before you can actually get to the part where you get to play the game for realsies.
Yeah.
And
and I don't love this era in the Metal Gear Solid timeline. The pre Metal Gear 1.
Yeah, the kind of Big Boss Chronicles almost.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have a love for like Snake Eater or Big Boss very much, so that also doesn't help.
Yeah.
5. I don't know. Maybe Survive is good zombies and such in an alternate dimension.
Boy, I tell you what, you were talking at the very beginning about Ubisoft fucking up. Like, nobody's fucked up as much as Konami over the last few years.
Yeah, no, you got it.
So I don't know. And last, we gotta just, I always like to put in something kind of fun at the very end. If you want, there's going to be, what do they call these?
Nendroids.
Nendroids, yeah. Hanzo and Genji Nendroids. Pre-orders are available over at Blizzard. Little action figures of Hanzo and Genji shooting stuff at each other. Why would you not?
Nendroids are so great.
Yeah? It's like you have an experience with this.
Well, in a, I don't know, do you go to conventions much?
Not really. There's people there. I don't like them.
Conventions are littered with those fucking Funko pops. Mm-hmm. Funko makes good figurines, and the pops are not any of them.
That's the big bobblehead.
With the big square heads and the big beady eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And Nendroids are like the opposite. They're small, and they are exaggerated and cartoony, but they're also very detailed, and they attempt to capture like the actual essence of these characters and not just like their look.
Okay.
And they're good. They're just very good little figurines. And if you like figurines, Nendroids are the best in show.
Okay. They look good. They are $50 a piece.
Yeah. And they're small. Hey, that thing is small.
Yeah.
But if you want a chibi looking thing and you don't want it to look like an actual butthole, get an Nendoroid.
Well, there you go. All right, with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some games. We're going to answer some questions, so stick around. And we're back.
Hi.
And it's time for, well, I would say it's time for questions, but I actually played and beat a whole game, so that means mini review time. Okay. So last week, I managed to plow all the way to the end of South Park: The Fractured Butthole.
Wow,
which
all the way to the butthole.
Probably shouldn't use that terminology. So, okay, for anybody who has been living under a rock, South Park: The Fractured Butthole is the sequel to South Park: The Stick of Truth. And in fact, it picks up kind of right where South Park: Stick of Truth ends, where everybody decides to stop playing Lord of the Rings and to start playing superheroes. So if you're tired of superheroes, maybe not, but, so let's see. It looks and sounds, and it is pitch perfect like South Park: Stick of Truth was, where it looks just like an episode of South Park. I played it. It was weird because it actually has the little sticker on it that says PS4 Pro Enhanced, and I'm like, how?
I mean, I guess, hey, it's easy to get 4K on that game, I bet.
Yeah, probably. I do have to just double down in saying that it is impressive to see, because the way that South Park has... the simplicity of the way that South Park is animated means that it really does look just like an episode of South Park. So, so you wander around, and this is, for anybody who's been watching the show, you start out with Cartman's group, Coot and Friends, has had a civil war with half of them leaving to create the Freedom Pals, and they're kind of going for franchise rights. And
this was actually like an episode of the TV show a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
The prequel, the franchise prequel was like the name of the episode.
Yeah, and you play as the same new kid, totally mute from the first game, who has the inexplicable ability. In the first game, there was a Facebook stand-in. In this one, it's Coonstagram. So you get followers on Coonstagram by taking selfies with people that will only take selfies with you if you have certain things put together. I actually was a little bit afraid in this game because I thought that they mined so much South Park for the first game. Like, they couldn't have enough things to put in this game, but they did. They tend to hit a lot of the kind of other things that they didn't hit in the first game. So
in terms of like references back to the show?
Yeah, like plot lines and stuff. So basically, you're running through the game, and to say anything about the plot would kind of be a little spoilery. So, it's
just the main crux is to get these two factions back together or to fight against each other.
So actually this is the first 5 minutes of the game, so it's not a big deal, but there's a reward for a cat that has been kidnapped And so Cartman turns into the coon and pushes a bunch of buttons and quote goes back in time to assemble the heroes to rescue this cat. And so then you do this by making friends and going around and doing subplots. And it is interesting that I don't know if they planned this, but because of the arc with Soto Sopa and Shitty Town and stuff like the town of South Park has changed, and there's more to the individual characters. But they've revamped the combat system, which is now, as you were saying, kind of a tactical light RPG, but it works. It's, you've got characters that have longer range and shorter range, and they can do different things.
It's
and
grid based.
Yeah, and you can it all hooks together, and you unlock different characters that can be in your party. And then you can basically put together whatever party you want.
It sounds like there are a lot of people to unlock.
There are. I think there's somewhere between like 12 and 14.
Okay.
The only thing that I thought, this is just a real brief note, but from the trailers, people should know that Wendy is one of the heroes, and she's the only girl in your roster. And I was a little bit like, one of the heroes is Scott Malkinson. You could have put in Bebe instead of Scott who's like, oh man, I can't wait to play in a squad with Scott Malkinson, Captain Diabetes. But I thought that it was good. I think it's not quite as good as the first one, but I feel like the writing in the game was funnier to me than the writing in the show has been recently.
Okay.
I don't think there was anything that stood up like it. If you've never played the first game, it's worth playing. I mean, if you're a fan of South Park, it's totally worth playing.
Stick of Truth has some really surprising moments in it.
Yeah, there were. They didn't like they push the envelope in some ways, but like I don't think there was anything like there was the abortion mini game or like avoiding the nutsack mini game during combat. Like
that's right.
I don't think it.
Is there anything on the level of the sex scene level?
Not really.
Okay.
It's still a solid game. It's just not quite as good as the first one.
Okay,
basically,
interesting.
But the first one was so good that it's kind of like
great.
Yeah. What was I? It's like Dark Souls 2 because I got to bring everything back to Dark Souls. Is that like no, it's not as good as the first one, but it's still totally a fun game worth playing. I did. There's some BS like get all bajillion of these things quests. I did a few of those that were easy to finish that I could look up a guide online because there were like 16 of thing X, but 20 hours total from beginning to end, and very little chaff, very little like, you can see the enemies that are going to come attack you, and it's totally your choice whether you want to get into combat. Like they'll walk towards you, but you can just walk away from them, and you don't have to do a thing. I never felt under-leveled. I never felt like it wasn't really challenging, I feel like, for anybody that has even a modicum of skill in RPGs at all.
Stick of Truth was like that too, where the critical path was pretty well balanced for just itself without doing too much side quest stuff.
There were a few things that were a little inscrutable. There's these summons that you can get where you bring in side characters to do attacks, and those weren't. I never really understood like how you refill your meat because there's like consumable items you use for that, and I wasn't ever sure if you could craft them.
That was weird in the first game too, where like you could only use each summon once per day, which was a chapter of the game. But you also, I feel like you couldn't use them in every battle, or you couldn't use them in boss battles or something. It was a weird thing too, where they didn't really care about it too much.
Yeah.
Or it didn't seem like it was a thing you should care about very much because it was kind of archaic.
I think that the game, much like the first one, prioritizes showing you the story, fun, moving things along. Like there's no grinding, there's no wondering where your next thing is. Like there's even a part in the game where a character will give you a riddle about where you have to go for the next part of your quest. And if you spend too long looking for it, they basically just come up there just like, hey, stupid, go over here. And you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
As an RPG, I really liked it because it does a lot of the things that I get mad at a lot of RPGs for doing, which is starting you off with a bang, getting you in, going right away, story hooks within the first 30 minutes, and then like you're off to the races.
Yeah, I know that's a big pet peeve for you.
Yeah. It doesn't have a lot of replay value like the first game, I feel. I do, though, also, I've been talking about this a little bit, but I have to point out, I read a review on Steam of somebody that gave it a thumbs down that was like, the first South Park Stick of Truth, I spent 40 hours playing that game, and this game was only 20 hours long. And I was like, how the fuck did you spend 40 hours playing Stick of Truth? Because that was like 20 hours, and you did everything in those 20 hours.
Yeah, I maybe he played back on a harder difficulty, or I know that there were some collectible, does Fractured Butthole have much of this where Stick of Truth had stuff that you could, I don't know if it was a side quest necessarily or collectibles that you could miss permanently? Do you feel like there was any of that? Okay.
No.
Because it was that you couldn't necessarily go back to all of the set pieces.
Yeah.
And you could miss out on, I don't know if it was the Friends thing or some side quest.
There might have been a few things, but they would just be like random trash loot items that you would pick up, or like things, you know how in the first game, how you would pick up trash loot. And was there crafting in the first game? Was that how that worked? That you would pick up stuff and you would sell it for?
I think you sold it and you could buy stuff.
Okay, because there's a big crafting system in here as well, where and there are a few things that don't really land. Like there's a mini game for pooping in everybody's toilet, which is like, I don't know.
The first game had that too, I think.
Yeah. Well, all the fart stuff is totally back, and in some ways it's okay. In some ways, it's not great, but I do like some of the stuff that they added in. I think that PC Principles part of the game is really kind of fun and interesting. But there's also, as with the first game, there's just like a shitload of superhero costumes that you can put on and customize, and you can go in and change everything to be whatever. I don't know. It's totally... I feel like if you're on the fence, within 6 months, you'll be able to get it for $20 on Steam. There's some DLC coming out. It'll probably be worth it to just wait until, like, if you're on the fence, to wait until the Game of the Year edition with all the DLC is on sale for $20 and then get the whole thing.
That sounds pretty reasonable.
Yeah, because I think that like Casa Bonita is the DLC.
Oh, right. Yes, they're doing like a Casa Bonita Dawn of the Dead styles. I think I believe that's sort of what that chapter is supposed to be.
Okay.
So,
but I had a good time with it. It was, it wasn't like in Shadow of War was the one that I played before this, and then when I got to that grindy part at the end, I was just kind of like, I'm done with this. Whereas South Park, there wasn't a lot of BS. It was just like, go for it. There was one part that I really enjoyed that had to do with Canada, but I'll leave that for people to...
In Fractured Butthole?
Yeah.
Interesting.
To see for themselves. But anyway, now on to the questions. Unless, do you have something that you would like to review?
Well, I guess I talked about Animal Crossing Pocket Camp a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
My initial impressions from like having it for one day are mixed.
Okay.
But we were talking a little bit on the break that you haven't played much Animal Crossing before.
Animal Crossing is one of those games like The Sims that I'm sure there's a reason to play it, but I haven't gotten into it because I'm just like, do busy work and collect stuff. And I'm like, nah, man, I want to blast ninjas with a machine gun or something.
And I think Pocket Camp loses that thread really hard. Like the first, like normal Animal Crossing games are about like having a home and making it look how you want and making friends with these villagers and earning bells, which are like coins and stuff. And getting your outfit looking a certain way. And I think that purpose is lost in Pocket Camp, because Pocket Camp has a very like linear free to play style transaction or progression.
Okay.
Where you're meeting new people, you like can meet new villagers, but they want you to craft very specific items.
Okay.
And they want you to put those items in, and once you do that, then you like are that level of friends with them. It's a very like gamey Animal Crossing.
Okay.
And it feels fundamentally different than why anybody would play regular Animal Crossing.
Well, because I've heard people describe the original Animal Crossing as be just like a very like chill out game where you can kind of just do whatever you want to,
Yeah.
If you want to be real aggressive about trying to collect stuff to buy stuff, you can do that. But if you want to just like wander around and do whatever you want to in this world, that you can totally do that as well.
And I think the motif of that still exists, right? You can go and you can get fruit, and the fruit trees rebloom every 3 hours instead of, every 3 days. You can go and fish and bug hunt all the time, but like all of those specific experiences are incredibly less precise. it's I don't know whether it's a function of being on the touch screen or because these are like an actual heavy resource in this game. But for example, bug catching, you tap on the bug and your guy goes up to it, and then you have to tap right when the little marker appears, and you'll get it. Where, you know, in the regular games, you actually have like this tactile element of like aiming and being at a certain distance and speed. You know, fishing was a similar thing of like, you know, you have to be aiming right at the fish, and you know they won't always be interested in you. And I think even that stuff has gotten a little detached from the way you would expect them to be.
Okay.
So I don't know. It's weird. It's a really weird game, and it's not generous.
Okay.
In the way that I think a game that Nintendo has expected or built to last you for hundreds of hours to be. And I think it is like the exact opposite of how they did Super Mario Run, where Super Mario Run was a one-time pay thing, where I think Super Mario Run would have worked better with a timer, and Animal Crossing would have worked better with a one-time purchase.
One-time pay thing.
But both of those are not maybe the most financially sound ways to do those games, and so that they are kind of these backwards things.
I think the only one that I played was Fire Emblem, and that was
Heroes,
and that got old pretty fast because it was kind of like, I don't know, it just felt like I could kind of see where it was going, and I think I would have rather, because Fire Emblem, there's no reason that you need a complex control input for Fire Emblem. It's turn-based, right? You can totally convert all that to, I would have rather played a port of one of the Fire Emblem games onto my phone than I could see the writing on the wall about how you can only do a certain number of battles per day, and then you're going to need to level your characters up enough to get past the next story beat to the next thing. And it just wasn't.
And it's a lot of very small stages.
Yeah.
I think the touch controls work all right in Heroes, but I believe that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Heroes. But I really don't. I have no love for the Fire Emblem series just at all. That's not my bag, man. Okay. And on top of that, the gacha element of like randomly getting heroes and feeding those heroes to other heroes is like, I have no desire to fuck with any of that ever.
Yeah. It also, that game really wants you to be in love with the entire Fire Emblem series because it wants you to, oh shit, I got this guy from Fire Emblem too, and it's like,
I got the kid with the pot.
Yeah.
Okay. My last thing on Animal Crossing.
Sure.
Well, my last thing is like all of the bits around the gameplay are really good.
Okay.
The last time we had an Animal Crossing game was New Leaf on the 3DS.
Okay.
I believe. I think there was an early one on the Wii U. But
yes.
Maybe those are about maybe I'm fucking that up.
No, I'm pretty sure the 3DS, the last 3DS one was the last one.
And it's really nice to like see an Animal Crossing game in HD and like expediting a lot of the processes of playing that game, right? You have a ton of inventory space and you are doing stuff by touch and it's very fast. And playing this only makes me want to play a real Animal Crossing game on an HD system that is a little faster and a little more efficient.
Yeah.
Because those quality of life things are really charming in a certain sense in a full game where, you know, you have kind of a lot of time to do stuff. But equally, that just becomes busy work every day, and you have to really want that. Where if it's a little tighter, I can have more attention span for that. So like, give me all of this engine stuff that they're doing here, but make the right Animal Crossing.
But
game.
put it on the Switch.
Put it on a Switch, or just make another one. Hey, Animal Crossing Real Town, and I'll give you $30 for it, Nintendo. I'll give you $40.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be more than willing to give a company $20 or $30 for a good phone game,
sure.
as opposed to.
I'd pay $60 for like a real ass Nintendo phone game. If an Odyssey style, if some big Nintendo game that they actually did all the polish for and all that stuff was a mobile game, I would pay full price for it. I would consider paying full price for it.
Yeah,
but it's that's not who the mobile market is. That's not who they're trying to aim for, so I get it. But I'm just saying, to anybody who will listen to me,
to all the Nintendo executives listening to the second hour of the Rage Select podcast,
just
I know you're there, Reggie.
I have it.
I know you listen.
I have it in my heart, and the first company that can do it right, is going to set a precedent on if it's even possible.
The one that I'm looking forward to is, I keep getting it on my Facebook feed. One of the XCOM developers, like for XCOM Enemy Unknown, is making a mobile like XCOM style game that has a lot of like buzz behind it. And I can never remember what it's called, but it's almost out. But
XCOM Enemy Unknown is on iOS. It's a very good iPad game.
Really?
XCOM 2 I don't think is out yet because they were really doing like a PC focus for XCOM 2 early on. But certainly the iOS version of XCOM is great. And it has cloud saves and it runs pretty well on my old iPad, and I'm sure it looks fine on the new ones too. And it's the full game, and it's got touch controls, and it works really well. So if those people are making another game like that, and even if it's not necessarily XCOM 2, I'd be down for that.
I just wish XCOM 2 didn't run like garbage on the consoles.
Yeah.
Because I bought XCOM 2 to play the DLC on the PS4, and it was just like, oh, wow. Hey, PS4 Pro, this is XCOM 2, and there's like slowdown and weird frame rate jankiness and long load times. Yeah. Anyway, let's get to some questions. Mail@ragesite.com is the email address, and the first one this week comes in from Juho, who says, hello, Masters of Rage. Greetings from Finland. There is something that has been bothering me for a while, and I thought that you guys might help. Do you remember the time when Konami was more or less a well-respected video game company? Seriously, what the hell happened to them? Whose idea was it to be a huge asshole to your own employees, cancel promising projects like Silent Hills, and make sure that everyone in the industry hates you? To me, that seems like a surefire way to make sure that no one wants to work for you. With regards, Juho.
I mean, Konami is in a place where the things that they're doing are the actions of someone who is a property holder and not necessarily a game development or a game publisher.
Okay,
right?
I can see that.
You know, they are doing slot machines and they're doing mobile games, and they're not really the jury's still out on how they're going to be handling traditional console and PC games. We talked about Survive earlier. I don't know what else is even on Konami's plate other than like probably winning 11 maybe.
PES, I think they do that every year. The
same.
soccer one.
But it like I would not be surprised in a few years if Konami is just like trading heavily on the IPs that they own. Some of the Hudson stuff. Bomberman came out on the Switch, which I guess is a Konami video game that came out. But Frogger stuff. I was in Las Vegas a few months ago, and one of the coolest, weirdest, and maybe shadiest things was there's a Frogger casino game that is skill-based. It is not luck. It's not necessarily luck-based.
Okay.
So you actually play a version of Frogger, and that informs your payouts after a skill-based game. It's expensive, and it's not great.
Okay.
Right? You know, that's what they're working on. What
I don't know. The thing that's irritating to me is that Konami has turned into a crazy person. Like whatever happened with them, I feel like. Okay, let me back it up. I feel like what happened to the answer to the question what happened to Konami was that Konami they traded too long on franchise nostalgia without making actual good games to back them up. So like Silent Hill
has a dark past.
Yeah, Homecoming and the one in the prison, and like I mean the last very good Silent Hill game was the Wii one, was Homecoming, which was
was that Homecoming? The wintry one? I think that was called Oh my goodness, Shattered Memories.
Oh, okay.
Frozen Memories.
Yeah. Because Homecoming was the one where you're a soldier.
Right.
So, Downpour, that was 2012, and I feel like Shattered Memories, that's
the Wii one.
The Wii one. That was 2009.
And that is, isn't that a retelling of the first game?
I believe so. I'm not as versed in Silent Hill, but, I feel like people have a lot of nostalgia for Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3, but, we've got The Room, which actually Jason and I just got done playing. I feel like it's fine. Then Origins, which, if I'm not mistaken, was that
I believe that was a portable game
PSP
first?
game?
Yes. And that was where you were like a trucker, I think. And
PS2, PSP, which I can't be. I mean,
any PSP game was questionable.
Yeah, and so then you've got Homecoming and Shattered Memories and Downpour, and of those, I feel like they kept trying, but they never struck the same gold that they had with Silent Hill, 1, 2, and 3, and even 4. And so they probably were like, well, why are we pouring money into this franchise that would just people keep bitching about?
Yeah.
Stop.
I mean, what we saw with Silent Hills, which was incredibly hyped, a very good great marketing campaign, Konami team. But with all of the stuff that we talked about today about single player games just not exactly being it, like, I understand it, right? If you tell me a Silent Hill game, a series that has got an incredible amount of public scrutiny with Hideo Kojima, who makes very expensive games that take a very long time to come out. Plus, you got a big name actor starring in it. Guillermo del Toro is in the mix. Like that would have been an expensive game, and apparently in the best announced possible scenario, that game does not sell itself internally.
Well, I think Silent Hills is just Kojima.
You think it predated the Kojima feud?
No. I think that Silent Hills is a direct. Is it? Well, I think Silent Hills specifically is a direct casualty of whatever happened.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know what that was. I don't know if Kojima crapped on somebody's desk or if somebody put switched the salt for sugar or something. But that was But I feel like even before that, they hadn't made a Silent Hill game in a while because they kept putting out what were essentially mediocre Silent Hill games. I feel like the same is true of Castlevania. That Lords of Shadow, yes, sort of, but Lords of Shadow 2, I don't know anybody who liked that. And then pre Lords of Shadow, you had what was that, Order of Ecclesia? The one
you got me.
The PS2. There was a PS2 game that was kind of a slightly Devil May Cry-ish. Was it Harmony of Despair? But Castlevania's had a rocky.
That's a franchise that has had a lot of different modes of play.
Yeah, they've had some rocky stuff because the GBA games and the DS games were all really good, but then the console ones were kind of iffy, and then you had stuff like Castlevania 64. So I feel like that's another one where Konami's like, well, we spent a lot of money on these games, and sometimes they just die.
Yeah.
So why are we bothering to do this?
And now we get a Castlevania anime, and it's actually all right.
Yeah. Well, just more. There's too few episodes.
But see, this is Konami as a corporation can pivot and can bank on these properties that are in ways that are not video games, and that's going to be weird. There's been talk of a Metal Gear game, or I'm sorry, a Metal Gear movie.
Oh yeah.
We'll see. Movies. I think a Konami video game movie is the best video game movie, but I don't know that that's anyone at Konami's doing. I believe that was a perfect storm for Silent Hill.
I don't know. I think that they've got more interested. A lot of Japanese game developers are very conservative, and that with Konami, you can see a thing where they're just like, okay, listen, these video games things are hit and miss. I got Kojima that's been making this fucking game for 6 years, and he just wants all the money in the universe for it. Let's just stop making this. We'll put out the soccer game. Everybody buys the soccer game. Let's just run our health clubs and pachinko things and whatever. It just sucks to me that I wish that they would pull a Capcom, because Capcom's actually been, Street Fighter 5, but fucking Silent Hill, Resident Evil 7 was rock solid.
An incredible pivot for that series. Not even a heavy pivot.
Yeah.
Even. But like Resident Evil 7 is, in a weird way, is the Resident Evil 4 of the back half of this series. Like Resident Evil 4 did a lot of really weird different things and kind of jumped out of the timeline.
Yep.
And I feel like 7 does the same.
Yeah, it's like it's the 1 through Nemesis or 1 through Code Veronica, and then we reset to 4 through 6. Now we've reset to 7. Yeah. I just hope that they don't go berserk with their lore like they did in the last one.
Yeah,
but
they're gonna gild the lily until they find a new plant.
Yeah. This next one comes in from Daniel. Daniel says, "Hello, Jeff and Bryce. I'm sure this has been asked before, but I'll throw this question to y'all. What are some of your most favorite video game weapons, and what were some of your least favorite video game weapons? For me, my favorite would be the Bulletstorm revolver that could shoot rockets into enemies, and my least favorite would be the Needler from Halo. Thanks and take care, Daniel."
Favorite video game weapons?
Yeah, we get a lot of favorite questions on the Rage Select podcast, which I've come to the conclusion that I'm not a favorite kind of. They're like, "What's your favorite movie?" I'm like, "All of them. I love them all."
I could have favorites. This is one I had never considered. Like the first thing I thought of was the Nikita from Metal Gear Solid, and the very unique ways that was still a weapon, but changed up the gameplay.
Yeah.
You're talking about the poison gas room and just its use as a tactile weapon or tool even. I think that's an interesting facet of that game.
I really loved it in Metal Gear Solid 2 because you could go into first person to control it.
Yeah.
And then it would slow down so much when it turned that sometimes you could sneak up on a guy with a rocket and turn, and he would just, "What the hell?"
Yeah. And that's a very unique gameplay moment, and I think that is a very cool thing. I think it's a very cool thing that is not just set to like one set piece, and its usefulness is degraded. I think that's something that is a cool new perspective on those sorts of games, and has a use.
I'm trying to think. I think that some of my favorite overall weapons in video games have come from Insomniac. Ratchet and Clank and the way that their weapons upgrade and evolve as you use them over time, I feel like is great resistance.
And very interesting loadouts.
Yeah. Like the one where you would tag an enemy, and then wherever you shot, the bullets would all go.
It would like trace, or not trace, but like seek.
Yeah. There's like X-ray guns and all kinds of stuff like that. But yeah, Insomniac, they do a really good job of taking weapons. And I don't know why this is, but I will never forget. Every time this question comes up, I have the same answer. I don't know why this is what it is. The shotgun in Rage. Remember the stupid id Software driving a dune buggy around the wasteland? Had a semi-automatic pull the trigger with a clip shotgun, and it was like the most useful weapon in any video. I was like, finally, a shotgun for everyone, because you don't have to spend a million years reloading it one thing at a time.
that reminds me of in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the dual sawed-off shotguns.
Okay.
Because especially if you had like infinite ammo cheats or whatever, you could do some major damage with that in quick succession. That's another sort of interesting use of force in those games.
Okay. Also, Doom.
Sure.
Doom. I felt a very personal connection with every gun in Doom because they all had their uses, and because ammo is fairly scarce, you have to keep switching between them. And then the ability, that game is, god damn, Doom is a good game. The way that you can on the fly switch between the different sub functions of the weapon. So it's like the machine gun has an iron sight or like a scope that you can look down that does like bonus damage and penetration, or you can put the little rocket sub thing on and shoot a bunch of mini missiles into people, and then they blow up. And you can do all this stuff while you're running around and double jumping and quad damage and switch between this weapon and this weapon and this weapon. Like, ooh, that was a good one. Bulletstorm is actually another one that has because of the whole kill with skill system. Have you ever played Bulletstorm?
No, I haven't. But
It's really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think somebody who listens to Rage Slide actually went in and put us on the Wikipedia page for Bulletstorm, where it's like, Jason and Jeff say that this game is way underrated and you should totally play it. Because we played through the entire thing, and it's this kind of like foul-mouthed Gears of War thing, but it's incredibly fun because you pick up a new weapon, and then they're like this gun, they had like a sub weapon in the pistol that would shoot like a firework at somebody, and they would like fly up in the air and explode.
Like as a distraction?
Well, you could use it for a bunch of different things, and so then there would be like the one of the things in the game is you have this gauntlet that's supposed to be grading you on how good you're killing people and then giving you bonus points. And so it'll be like shoot a guy with a rocket into 3 other guys, and that's like a achievement that then gives you points that you can then buy upgrades with. So and there's a whole shitload of different crazy things that you can do in that game. But least favorite would probably be any I've just been listening to the Bonfire Side Chat guys, or the Watch Out for Fireballs guys, talk about Resident Evil 3 and Code Veronica and 7 for their Halloween month, and they pointed out that the submachine gun in a Resident Evil game is almost always a waste of bullets and time and everything, because you just have to shoot the enemies. Like, why is it that because it shoots faster that it's like somehow weaker bullets and you just can't put things down fast enough?
Man, yeah, I don't know about a least favorite. I mean, I don't love Halo much at all. I feel like when I've tried to play those games, I would say probably any laser or energy weapon
In Halo?
or just in general.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'm like, I think the typical way that those weapons are presented is like a like floaty. They don't like in Fallout.
Okay.
This will be least favorite.
Mm.
Energy weapons in Fallout.
Okay.
They can make guys turn to ash, and that's kind of a cool thing, but otherwise they feel really underpowered for like the amount of work you're supposed to put into them.
Yeah. I can see that because in the original, like Fallout 1, you get towards the end of the game where there was a zillion super mutants and you could shoot them all in the eyes with the giant laser and it would kill them in one shot. But in like Fallout 3, you get so many bonuses that it doesn't matter what you could be shooting a pistol and take down a death claw with it if you're kitted out the right way. But
right, and dealing with energy cells and stuff. Ugh.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move it on here. Let's see. This is Detective FDRRR says, "Hey Jeff and Bryce, it's Detective FDRRR, and I'm kind of I think that the detective might have been slightly inebriated when this email was written, because there's some misspelling going on.
Is that also his normal name, FDRRR?
Well, yes. And then I always add on about 40 more R's afterwards. So it says, it's Detective FDRRR, and I'm kind of fucked up, but regardless, my friend Andy had a disagreement at the bar. The hypothetical question was, what woof happened if society broke down, Walking Dead style? He said it would be chaos and violence, etc., etc. I'm more that would be me, stance on things that people would come together and help each other. However, I was too far gone to articulate that. So here's my question. What situation have you been in that you knew in your head what you wanted to say, but you didn't have the words to explain? Oh, I misread this question. I thought it was about the apocalypse, but okay. All right. No, that's fine. What situation have you been in that you knew in your head what you wanted to say, but didn't have the words to explain? I think it was always, you're the fucking man, dude, Detective FDR.
He put a lot of R's in that alone.
Yes. Well, I always put so many R's on it. So I think he's just challenging me to just say R for, yeah. Okay, so it's something that you knew, but you couldn't quite. You would like.
You couldn't get it out.
Yeah.
Oh man, I get this occasionally on some of the podcasts that I do or that I host or co-host. We do a science one called Weird Things, and it's a lot about space and SpaceX and outer space, and I'm not very well versed in space science at all, and so I end up a lot of times I edit that show, and so I know that if I like just get locked up and stop and say nothing, I know I can cut it out later. But that's one thing is like talking about science is not always my forte.
My answer to that would be maybe up to the current date, maybe take it back a year. Any interaction with a woman that I was attracted to, it would just be like,
duh, me like you.
No, see, I think that what would happen is that the panic response would flip me into customer service mode, and so just be like, oh, that's very interesting, and what do you do in your spare time? Yeah. Oh, very nice.
Very nice. Would you like a soup with that?
Yeah, and it was just like, well, fuck.
Okay.
You should play Kerbal Space Program. I think you'll know a lot about space.
That does not teach you a whole lot about space.
Well, you got to go watch the YouTube videos about Kerbal Space Program.
Yes. the Kerbal Space Program, when it is kitted out with all of the like real science mods and stuff, is bonkers.
I still can't calculate delta V worth a damn. I can get into orbit and I can plot an intercept course and I can land on the moon. And that's about as far as
that's a good amount.
That's as far as I got. I'm always running on fumes by the time I get back. And several times, I think the last time I started it up, I still have some Kerbals that are sitting in lunar orbit, and I got to make a rescue. But that means docking two things in space, which is the hardest thing in the entire world. What are your thoughts about the apocalypse, though? I maintain, and I haven't gone off on this in a while, so I'm going to take this opportunity. I maintain that all of this horrifically dark zombie fiction is for garbage. It's for drama's sake only, because human beings naturally band together and help each other to overcome external threats. Like when we're all safe and full, we'll fight each other all day long. But as soon as the lions are coming, then we're gonna form some anti-lion brigades. And
so, are we talking about a zombie apocalypse?
Yes.
Okay. In a zombie apocalypse, I think military forces, both public and private, will. Hey, the one thing America's good at is having a fucking ton of guns. We can stop some zombies.
Yep. I think that the Cracked Podcast put it best when they said we have to write laws to keep hunters in this country from killing animal species to extinction.
Right.
And you're dealing with slow-moving things with no survival instinct.
I will leave the possibility of a Plague Inc. style outbreak where all of a sudden we are overrun by zombies.
Okay.
Where we are in a space where people are just kind of sick.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just get kind of sick, and then the zombies that I think is a space where the power dynamic may not be it. But I don't know that this is related, but there's a show from I don't even know what network it's on, called The Last Ship.
Okay.
And it's actually based on a book, but it's about a battleship that goes out to a mission to the Antarctic, and they come back and find out that nuclear war happened.
Okay.
And they are going around. It's very hoorah and Navy military fist pumping. But it is an interesting look at what happens in a certain type of apocalyptic scenario, and that's a very good overcomes evil sort of thing.
Okay.
So that's
I've just for years I've just wanted somebody to write a zombie apocalypse thing where it's not like World War Z the movie where we suddenly find a magical thing to so we can battle the zombies. It's like World War Z the book where they just got pushed back to California, and then we started making guns, and everybody just went out and started walking across the United States, killing every zombie that they found until we finally get to the other side, and there aren't any more zombies anymore. And
I think that there's the one thing that internet crowdsourcing could do is set up a fucking kill line, guns across America.
Yep.
On Reddit.
Or Mira Grant writes a series of books that's about people living in a post-zombie apocalypse society where people live in enclaves with walls, and you just don't go to the Badlands over here because And I think that's cool too. I'm real tired of the idea that at heart we're all a bunch of like rapey murder fucks, and that as soon as society breaks down, everybody's just like, every man for himself. I'm gonna chop up my neighbors.
There was a movie that came out this year, I think, that is kind of apocalyptic sort of, and I think is another interesting sort of character piece on that called The Bad Batch.
Okay.
It's not a great movie. It has a very hokey and probably just bad, acid trip sequence. But it's an interesting look at, like, what if there is a designated part of the world today that was just kind of left to its lawless devices, and how does it? What happens when Fallout meets minimal aesthetics?
Okay.
And also, it's got Keanu Reeves in it.
Oh, I will totally watch that.
Yeah.
Love that, Keanu. Let's see. We got a couple more here. Daniel writes in and says, hello, Jeff and Bryce. Can you think of any games that you thought were going to be huge popular successes but ended up being big flops, or vice versa? A couple of recent examples I can think of are Battleborn and Lawbreakers. Thought that there would be at least stable player communities for both of them. Thanks and take care, Daniel. Those are really good examples.
Though I didn't know. Lawbreakers was not on my radar until the story was that nobody was playing it. So that's maybe apocryphal for me. I wasn't exactly sold on Hearthstone or Overwatch, but look at me now.
Yeah. Well, do you play a lot of those games?
I've had bouts with both of them, and they're also incredibly popular games.
Okay.
Stuff that I thought would be more popular. I think this is another apocryphal case of just after the fact, but Nier, the original Nier, if I played it when it came out, I would have thought, why is not everybody playing this game? And not everybody played it. Man, I don't know. Do you have an example of something?
Well, most of my things are older because I'm trying to think of some of the newer stuff, but there was a game that I let get me real excited about in a Game Informer article called Advent Rising, that was supposed to be the beginning of this trilogy of science fiction games that were written by Orson Scott Card before he was a lunatic that we all didn't like, back when he was a lunatic that we all did like. And you know what's actually funny is that this game got panned across the board, but I don't remember it being the worst game of all time.
Okay.
Like, it was a game where you started as just like kind of run and gun third person shooter, but then like eventually you got crazy psychic superpowers, and they had a whole shared media universe that was going to be going forward with this, and then it was just like nobody cared. Everybody could have cared less about it.
It almost sounds like a Two Human type situation.
Oh yeah, that's a good example. What was that? God damn it. Hellblade, no, Hell something London, Hell, it was like a Diablo style, God, what the hell?
What the hell, London?
It was
Hellgate?
Hellgate.
Is that it?
Yeah. That I remember was another one where I saw trailers for it. Hellgate London, yeah, where I saw trailers for it, and I was like, that looks really good. Because it was some kind of like Diablo style, but then like in this weird demon London thing.
You know what? The Darkness. I played some of the Darkness and thought that would be a thing that everyone really dug, and I think that came across kind of lukewarm in the end. But the Darkness is interesting. I don't have a whole lot of love for it, but I thought that's something that people would dig more than they did.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything that's come out like recently that has been... I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I try to keep expectations low for games lately.
Me too. I'd really try hard.
The safest thing.
Yeah. You can be pleasantly surprised instead of constantly disappointed. Yeah. That's why every time that anybody just goes like, "Oh man, I can't." Did you see that trailer? And it's like, trailer lies,
bull shots.
Oh, you know what? I thought that Swery was going to get his game funded, and that's something that happened last week. The Good Life,
right? The cats game
with the cats and the dogs and the developers.
I thought the Rapping Rabbit, the Parappa game, the game from the guy who made Parappa the Rapper, was doing not Samurai Rabbit, but it was about a rabbit who was a rapper, and it was kickstarted.
Okay.
And I like the concept of it. I like the character design of it.
Mm-hmm.
But they mishandled that campaign pretty badly.
Okay.
But I thought that's something that, just on nostalgic value alone, of like, hey, I can't make another Parappa game for whatever reason, but here's going to be a similar type of thing, and we're going to actually make it more about rapping and dissing and rap battles, and you actually like pull information from other things that they say, and you will make your own lines. And it'll
it's going to be like speech recognition where you had to like actually rap,
No, it was like dialogue choice. So you would listen to them, and you would you could highlight certain words from their lines and remember it. And when it would be your turn to rap, you could use those as like disses. It was like rap battles.
Okay.
And like the design was cool, but it wasn't until like the very end of that campaign where they actually had any sort of like concept demo for it, and it was not very good. They didn't have any. The vocalist that they had rapping was
Project Rap Rabbit.
Yes, that's it.
Yep.
The video that they put out was like one of the developers rapping pretty not great, and the lyrics were very not good.
Okay.
And that could have been a bigger thing. So
I just thought of one thing, and then that led me to another thing. I think that DJ Hero was incredibly underappreciated.
Well, okay. Last week I got on the DJ Hero thing on Twitter.
Yeah.
DJ Hero and DJ Hero 2 especially are fucking great games.
Yeah.
It is incredible that, like, in a world where Guitar Hero was already incredibly saturated, that they went and got these licenses and did all of this work on these mashups. And they're good mashups. The tactile feel of that controller is incredible. It is unlike any other rhythm game at all. And in a world where Harmonix and Activision took a sequel to a very popular, high-selling game, DJ Hero, and like made it more mainstream by doing more pop and more electronic music, and ended up still making a better game. I think DJ Hero 2 is better than DJ Hero 1 flatly, for me. Granted, I like the electronic stuff more than the hip-hop and more retro sound on the first game.
Yeah.
But it is solely on the conscience of Guitar Hero that DJ Hero 3 is not in around.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, they really well, and then the other thing that led me to, as far as like, this isn't something that was a big flop, but I'm still confused. Like, that there was a day that I was out sick where everybody had a meeting and they were like, so no, we all don't like Rock Band anymore, right? Right? We're done? Nobody likes to play Rock Band at a party anymore? And then they were like, everyone was like, yep, we all agree. And then I came in, I was like, hey guys, you want to play some Rock Band? They're like, no, we're done with that. Like,
Rock Band is a victim of timing. The whole plastic instrument market is a victim of timing. When Rock Band is a good game to play, but if you don't have any DLC for it, those discs don't have any good music for you. And with the store going down and coming back up, and I know Guitar Hero is like Guitar Hero Live, which is an interesting thing.
Very strange.
But then Rock Band is also its own weird thing of like, is it still up? How much DLC is still available to buy versus what exists?
I need to go back and look at that, because the thing with Rock Band 4 is that I did buy it when it launched, but the method for downloading they needed a thing where you could just go
download all,
get all my songs, go get my songs, Rock Band, like, not one and then go to the store and then this one and then go to the store,
because the Rock Band network has a lot of really good music on it, And if you have a party and you go and just bought a Rock Band disc, you don't have any of it. You would have to buy all of that thing, which is, I think, the good idea of Guitar Hero Live, in that you can just like buy a karaoke ticket for 24 hours and get whatever you want to play.
I feel like there people asking for that from Rock Band for like a decade. Like,
that would be great.
I will give you $10 every month if you just let me just play anything, stream it. It's fine.
Whatever. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is a heavy one.
Oh, okay.
So Mike writes in and says, "Dear Jeff and Bryce, I have a hard question, but why not see what you think? Is the meaning of life just dealing with life when you're wrong about something you have invested time or conviction about being right / getting your way? I feel that so much of religion / personal belief on a topic is about getting your way / being right, much like marriage where two people want their own way but never truly get it. Or is being wrong in a big way and learning to deal with it just to get by in life? I don't really understand that, but thanks as always, and rage on, Mike." Mike asks, let's see if we can boil this down a little bit.
Yeah, it sounds like he's saying, is it okay if your life is a crusade against the incorrect people or not?
I think he's, well, like, what I'm taking is the meaning of life
Fight Clubby.
Yeah. Dealing when you're wrong about something you've invested so much time. I guess what he's asking is the meaning of life, is being right, I feel like there's a large portion of life.
I feel like there was a religious undertone that was stripped from this email. Look. Life life is something that is the idea of cognition and consciousness is weird, and as entities that have you would assume consciousness and cognition is still not something that we can easily grasp.
Okay.
But the idea that we are born and are able to live as human beings and think and make podcasts,
sure,
play video games, that's a crazy set of things to happen.
Okay.
So fucking have fun, I guess. Like, one day you're gonna blink away, and like, if you're not having fun or spreading goodwill, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. And the way to get to joy and the way to get to goodness is not always happy, right?
True.
You got to work to be able to pay to buy video games. You've got to train to have muscles, you know. But get what you want, work for what you want.
Okay.
And if you find out that it's not what you wanted, congratulations. You have a whole new set of skills to find what you want. Find something else that you want.
Very true.
I don't know if this is even close to what he was asking, but
I will say briefly on the topic of being right.
Okay.
Never forget that your brain is not a computer. Your brain is an organ that is trying as hard as it can to keep you alive. And one of the ways that it will keep you alive is by nobody wants to think of themselves as a monster, and your brain will do tricks on you to make you think that you're not a monster, even if you're doing a thing that could be considered monstrous from the outside.
Rationalization.
Exactly. So I like to always remember that being right is something that you're going to want to do because there's no upside for your brain accepting that you're wrong, because that's less likely to keep you psychologically stable, which is more likely to destabilize you, which is less likely to keep you moving forward to carry on your DNA into the future. So I don't think a lot about being right, especially now that everybody's got a huge platform to tell you how right they are all the time. Being right has become less. I'm just trying to do right and not be right.
And like, being right is a social element, right?
Yes.
Understanding your sense of rightness comes from comparing and deciding that someone else is got a different set of values, and that's very. I don't necessarily like. I think the only way that is a winning move is to gain another perspective that you wouldn't have had. Mm-hmm. If your comparison of values with someone else helps you understand someone else better, I think that's a good function of that. But
sure.
I don't know that needing to know that you're right outside of that use helps anybody.
Also, just in general, as a theme for the last several years of advice that has come from this show, comparing yourself to other people is kind of a sucker game.
It's a losing battle.
Yeah, eventually you may be able to get away with it for a while, but eventually you're going to run up against some kind of wall that's going to end up being a thing. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like you're going to end up spending a lot of time and effort like trying to convince somebody to be on your side or doing work that you maybe just don't need to do.
And just generally as people, the amount of exposure we have to other people in terms of the media is incredibly weighted towards the most popular and most exposed people. Mm-hmm. And that is a very tough world to live in if you, for any point, want to compare yourself to someone.
Absolutely.
That's really tough. Please find your own bliss.
And last, we have one more question from Vova, who says, Dear Rage Masters, hope you're doing awesomely and will continue raging and being awesome. Question, if you could release a new console, what would be the name and what games would you make your launch lineup? Oh. No existing console exclusives, either your new game ideas and or multi-platform games. Wait, what? Either your new game ideas and
brand new ideas for these games.
But what about multi-platform? It says you can no existing console exclusives, but you can take stuff that is already multi-platform.
Okay.
Or your own original idea. Huh. And then bonus hypothetical, I feel like this is just like a person jamming their finger in my face.
Wow, this is a lot.
Would you rather Dark Souls have a day one DLC character who's the only one who can unlock the ending of the game, or very invasive paid-only loot boxes in Metal Gear Solid 3? Thanks for all the hours of videos and jokes, your loyal fan and patron, Vova. To answer your bonus hypothetical question, day one character who's required to get to the end game because at least you can spend your money and you're done. Yeah, okay. As opposed to
I feel that
buying loot
Neither
boxes.
of those are my bag.
All right, so
a console, like just the name of a console and the games that we have it on it.
Yes. Well, okay. So let's start with what's the name of your console?
It would be the boy.
Let's see. I'm trying to think if I wanted to go with a regular, like an actual name or a joke
stupid
name.
Joke name, right?
I mean, I don't know. Xbox. That's what could be worse than that. The D box. No,
that's a movie theater thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah. Let's see. The
game space. That's bad.
Joyform.
Joyform sounds like a pleasure device.
That sure does. I don't know. I'm just gonna say Hot Dog Llama 5000. That's mine. I don't care anymore.
The digital games. Ooh, that's not great either.
Digibox.
Digibox. Yeah, there we go.
All right.
My Digibox.
The Digibox for all your console exclusives. I don't know. I've read in the papers that the Hot Dog Llama 5000's specs are way higher than the Digibox.
I mean, specs are one thing.
We're using that DRAM, that new RAM that's faster.
The D stands for dog.
That's right. Yeah. All right. And what would your launch lineup be?
But not already exclusive games.
Not console exclusives, but you can have multi-platform
or
games.
Brand new ideas for games.
Yes.
I mean, I would take whatever Hideo Kojima would want to make.
Okay.
My original idea would be to give him a blank check in this hypothetical. Or
let's rebrand the digital box as your internal working title. It's the Kojima Sphere.
I really want more rhythm games.
Okay.
Back in my life, and if that means finding a way to bring back, Beatmania 2DX games, or actually the PS4 just got a new DJ Max game, and it's very good.
Okay.
So maybe that's not right in line with this. Multi-platform games is a weird. Okay, here's an idea for a game: Watch Dogs, but it's good. like Watch Dogs, but every part of it is good.
You like Watch Dogs 2?
I like playing Watch Dogs 2, but the story is completely garbage.
Yep.
That game that game is a game best played on mute. Like the story is not any good and it doesn't go anywhere and do not get me started on Watch Dogs 2. That game has a lot.
All right, fair enough. I didn't have the same issues that apparently you had.
Watch Dogs 2, but good in every way.
Okay.
Or
I'm gonna just pick some games out of the past that don't exist anymore. I want that Prey 2 game where you're the intergalactic bounty hunter. That
the
was
original sequel
original
to
Prey 2.
Okay.
I want that Grand Theft Auto 80s or that Rockstar 80s Cold War game, The Agent? I believe.
The game that we saw like 10 seconds of footage of 10 years ago.
I want a new No One Lives Forever game.
Okay.
And I want the original Halo before Microsoft bought Bungie, where it was supposed to be like
Apple Halo
real-time strategy mixed with like a guerrilla
ODST?
war. What's that?
Isn't that ODST?
Yeah, but this was supposed to have like actual strategy elements and stuff in it.
Okay.
I want Jurassic Park Trespasser, but I want it to be good this time, motherfucker. Spent so much time downloading that game.
Give me, I don't know, how about Grand Theft Auto 6? Boom. Drop the mic.
Yeah,
but you just made a lot of money, Jeff.
You're not playing this game correctly. Like, what's going to be on it? A new Grand Theft Auto. A new Assassin's Creed game. And also, just a Call of Duty.
I would...
Oh, somebody made mock-up designs of a modern-day Dark Souls game where it's like Dark Souls, but you're like on the streets of Japan, and like instead of pyromancy, you've got like a lighter, and it's kind of Silent Hillish, but they've got like monsters that are roaming around and stuff.
That sounds like Let It Die.
That one. Yeah.
Did you play Let It Die?
Oh, yeah. I was never willing to get far enough, but I also would give like Hideo Kojima, Miyazaki, Suda51, Swery. Those guys can put out whatever they want to. You make a fucking kart racing game.
Love it.
I will play it.
That's
I will play
a great
it.
new idea. Give us a new kart racer.
Yes, something that's not Mario Kart.
Yeah, no. Fucking, hey, where's our Uncharted kart racer?
Oh yeah,
That's a good meme.
Yeah.
I would like. I would really be into a JRPG that really tries to take a traditional turn-based fighting game or RPG game and add some sort of new unique elements to it. I think Tokyo Mirage Sessions on the Wii U is a very traditional RPG, and I don't think the story is any good on it. But I think the idea that they had of the combo system, the automated combo system based on weaknesses, is head and shoulders better than the one more system in Persona. I think the ideas of it and the strategy of it are really cool, and I like that.
Okay.
So there's something in that vein of like really trying to take a regular JRPG style game and making it.
I have a dream of a JRPG where
Where you start 5 hours into the game.
Either that or where you just take a scalpel to some of the dialogue of just like, please don't introduce yourself 12 times. Like, let's move this thing along because I like them. I just don't have time. I actually have an idea for a game, but I'm not even going to talk about it because it's my own idea.
Oh.
And nobody's done it before.
TM.
And I want to do it myself. But yeah. Also, I just want to make a console and put out all the games that I don't get to play anymore. I want Shadow Complex 2 because Shadow Complex is fucking great. I want a whole bunch of Metroidvania games that are not the stupid 3DS one that I don't like very much.
Oh, you don't like the new what is it?
Samus Returns.
Yeah.
Metroid 2 was not the best game in the world, so remaking it is like a
weird thing. Okay.
Yeah. And
fucking Elebits 2?
yeah.
Why not? Fucking let's play hide and seek, motherfuckers.
Ooh, it's got to have a VR headset, and I want to be able to play Grand Theft Auto 5 in the first-person mode
with
in VR. In VR. That's what I want. That's what I want in this world.
This is crazy. Boom blocks.
Boom blocks?
Bring it back. Do it right. Come on, Steven. You got this.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, whatever that thing Ken Levine is working on, whatever that small project thing that he's
Is
got.
that still going? Yeah, I forgot about that because he split off from 2K and made a new studio.
No, yeah, it's a new studio, but I think they're still they made a deal with 2K to distribute it or whatever it is.
Interesting.
Yeah, and Death Stranding. And Death Stranding, but it comes out a year and a half early, and it's finished, and it's the best game ever.
More Wii Sports. Hey, guess what?
Okay.
Wii Sports is a good game.
Yeah. Motion controls?
Sure.
Okay.
No. Just not motion controls. Just a Wii Sports controller.
Okay.
Just
waggle it around.
Give me a plug-in. I'll take a plug-and-play console.
Okay.
And it just has Wii Sports. Or Wii Sports Resort.
Like one of those, the Atari 2600 joystick that you plug in that has like 100 games.
1.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but they're all Wii Sports.
But they're all Wii Sports?
Hey, Wii Sports is pretty fun still.
Sure.
And
feel like jumping around and shit.
But yeah, sometimes you want to get up and swing around. But that involves plugging in the remote sensor and finding the disc and... if you're playing the HD one that came out, you either have to buy those games again and have the Wii Motion Plus, or buy one of the day ticket things. You know what? I take everything back. I just want a plug and play Wii Sports now.
Okay, you just want the Wii to be released a second time.
You know what? It's like the NES Classic, but it's just the Wii.
Okay, the Wii Classic.
The Wii Classic, or the Wii Mini Classic.
If they could make it so that you didn't have to put that stupid bar on top of your TV, that's all I care about, because that thing falls down
guess what?
Constantly.
The console is the bar.
What? All right, you won. You won. You won. All right, and that is it. Thanks to everybody. Is there anything that you want to pimp out? I was asking.
Follow me on Twitter.
Okay.
At Brycas, BRYCAS.
Okay.
Tweet mostly good stuff sometimes.
All right. MailerHSelect.com is the email address to sending your questions. We got a good bunch of questions, but if we didn't answer yours this week, send it in again. And with that, thanks for coming on, Bryce.
This was a lot of fun.
All right. See you, everybody.
Bye.